You out of the house. You're ahead $30,000 from nothing.
This is Judge Judy.
Gabrielle Corriette is suing her former friend, Alberto Alberti, for an unpaid loan to pay child support.
Order. All rise. It's case 442 on the calendar, the matter of Corriette versus Alberti. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Alberti, how do you know the plaintiff?
I used to throw like a Latin party in Spokane, Washington, and she was walking down the street and I was promoting, and that's how we met.
And what do you do now?
I'm a barber and I'm a DJ.
You have children?
Yes.
How many?
3.
How old are they?
10, 8, and 2.5.
And who do they live with?
They live with their mom. It's like half and half, pretty much.
Where does their mother live?
In the same town, Spokane, Washington.
Does she work?
Yes.
Are you under a child support order?
Yes.
How much?
It's $430.
How often?
It's once a month.
And how long have you been under the child support order?
Since they were born.
So you never lived with their mother?
I did.
Well, then somebody was cheating somebody, because if you were living with their support order.
We separated when my child was recently born, so her mom suggested her, and I feel like she did it pretty much out of spite, you know what I mean, because...
I don't know what you mean. You said 8, 10, and 2.5, so is what you're telling me you separated when the youngest child was born?
Yes, my oldest.
Okay. And since then, you've been under a child support order?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do the children get any sort of government aid?
I don't know exactly what that means.
Welfare, assistance?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm not 100%.
Was there a time when you were in arrears of your child support order?
Yes.
How much in arrears?
They probably came up to be like about $4,000.
How did you know it was about $4,000?
Because I looked into it before we purchased the house.
Did anybody contact you about taking your driver's license away?
No, they didn't.
Do you file tax returns?
Yes, I did.
Did anybody ever take your refund if you were due one?
No.
So you knew the plaintiff, and you came into some money.
Yes, ma'am.
How much money did you come into?
About $100,000.
And there had been a time when you and the defendant were involved in a romantic relationship.
Briefly, yes.
And then just friends.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just according to you, flipping houses, going into business with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
But when you went to buy the first house to flip, couldn't buy it because he had this outstanding child support debt.
Yes, Your Honor, and I had already put $2,000 to hold the house.
Care about the house. Now, in order to get rid of that $4,000 worth of debt, what did you do?
He came to me and asked if I would pay the debt for him, and once the house sold, he would pay me back.
Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what I'd like you to do is tell me now, because I don't have to get into the whole mess of she finally brought you out of the house. She gave you $26,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer.
Sorry. Yes, Your Honor.
So what I'd like you to tell me is how much money you put into the house.
Approximately $15,000.
15,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
So let me see. You put in 15. Is that right?
No, Your Honor.
How much did he put in?
0, because there was a $20,000 holdback fund for renovations on the house, which he withdrew from to pay the contractors.
Do you have any proof that you put in $15,000?
I do not have any proof right now, but I gave it to her. And since the house was sold, I actually got rid of the evidence. But I had it all, the expensive that I spent.
That doesn't do anything for me.
Okay.
Bought you out of the house for $26,000. And in addition to the $26,000 that she bought you out of the house for, she gave you another $4,000 to pay off your child support. That's $30,000. And you got nothing there standing there but a reasonably good-looking face, a smile, and what you think is charming. You see, I don't find any of that charming. I find that just to be a taker and a slug. Now, she had no pleasure out of making these 3 children. These were your 3 children. They're your responsibility to pay child support for. The fact that you're a DJ and a barber and primarily in a cash business and don't pay your taxes, which you don't, there's no question that you don't report all the money that you earn. So you're sort of slippery, so they can't attach your salary because you don't get a salary. That's why your arrears went up to $4,000, because otherwise they just scoop in and they attach it. So you're a slippery slug who took advantage of somebody
trying to buy
who
my
come
time
in-
over here,
who
don't
had-
say anything.
who had come into some money. So far, you're ahead of the game $30,000. $4,000 of it was for child support. I haven't heard how much money you made. How much money did you make so far on this adventure with him?
Yeah, I didn't make any money on the house, and if I were to sell it today, I would...
Well, I don't know that because it hasn't been sold yet, but so far, she hasn't made any money, and you're ahead $30,000.
Okay, so pretty much how everything started up is the offer was presented to me.
I'm just asking you, is that a yes or a no? So far, you're ahead $30,000 on this deal because she came into some money.
How can I be ahead when the house is worth more than $3,000 now, and the house was only bought in $190,000, and she wanted to keep the house, not me. So she bought me out to keep the house.
So far, you're ahead $30,000 from nothing. You didn't do anything.
I did
Somebody else paid your child support for your 3 children. Somebody else paid your child support for your 3 children, plus she bought you out of a house because your name was on the paperwork with her. So in order to get your name off the paperwork, because she probably figured you were a slug, finally got through her brain that you were a slug, she bought you out for $26,000. All I'm saying is you're ahead $30,000 from nothing. That's a very good investment. If I could put in 0 and come out $30,000 in a period of a year,
Yes, Your Honor.
that's a pretty good investment. Go take a look at the stock market today.
For a second, I thought I was going to be able to defend myself.
$4,000. You pay your own child support. Judgment for the plaintiff, $4,000. We're done here.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
To keep a house, it costs $300,000 for $190,000. I mean, come on.
He wasn't doing work. He wasn't putting any money into the house.
That's why she wanted to buy me out.
He was going to walk away with all the money that I had loaned him,
She came over here crying, saying like, yo, I want to keep this house.
and I have nothing to show for it.
Absolutely not took advantage of her, man.
Yes, lesson learned.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Calhoun versus Hernandez. Step forward.
Amanda Calhoun is suing Maribel Hernandez for vet bills after Maribel's stray pit bull savagely attacked her Chihuahua.
Miss Calhoun, you're a very nice person.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sometimes bad things happen to very nice people. So this is basically what the case is about. This is your little dog.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you found a stray dog. When did you find the stray dog?
On December 31st, around 1 a.m.,
Where was it?
he wandered into my front yard, Your Honor.
Where do you live?
I live in Pomona. It's not the best neighborhood, Your Honor, so...
So you took the dog inside?
I put him in my backyard after feeding him. Initially, it was just, we're in the front yard.
What kind of dog?
It's like a pit bull mix.
What happened was you ultimately took the dog in. It had a chip, and it was chipped to the defendant.
Yes, Your Honor.
You contacted her, had a conversation, and when you had a conversation with her, did she at any time tell you that the dog wasn't hers?
No, Your Honor.
Did she tell you she would come and get the dog?
Yes, Your Honor.
But in the meantime, you let the dog stay in the house with your dog.
Yes, Your Honor.
Big mistake. And your dog and this pit bull mix got into a fight over food.
Yes, Your Honor.
I assume your little dog went over to bigger dog's food dish?
Not exactly, Your Honor. We fed them separately to try to prevent something like this. So we fed the bigger dog first by himself. It was leftover food in the bowl that they ended up fighting over.
Whose leftover food?
The small
little
dog, Your Honor.
ones.
Yes, Your Honor.
And your dog was seriously injured.
Yes, Your Honor. Brutally, seriously injured.
You want the defendant to be responsible for the vet bills.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much are the vet bills?
$2,152.90, Your Honor.
When did you get this dog?
I got him in 2017, in May.
From where did you get the dog?
I got him off of Craigslist from a family.
How old was the dog when you got him?
He was 3 months old.
So you had the dog for several years.
Yes.
Who else lives in your home?
At the moment, my fiance lives with me.
Do you work?
I work, yes.
Doesn't work.
No.
Stand up. How did the dog get out on December 31st?
I wasn't there around that month. I had just got there.
What does that mean? You weren't there around that month?
You
got
said
there.
September?
No, December.
December. I wasn't around until she had picked up the dog.
So,
Don't speak. I don't want to hear you.
yes.
Where were you on December 31st?
At home.
Where was the dog?
At her house.
You mean at the plaintiff's house?
Yes, I lived separately.
At the time.
So you weren't watching the dog during the day?
Not around the time that she had given the dog.
What?
So I had given...
No, I don't want to hear you. Do you understand?
Yes.
At all?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If I saw pit bull mix in my front yard, I would not bring it into my house with my 3 Shih Tzus.
She wouldn't have her dog right now if I didn't take her dog in.
What I'm telling you, I would not take a pit bull into my house that I found on the street.
Amanda Calhoun says, owned by Maribel Hernandez, the dog attacked and maimed her Chihuahua.
Now, when did you and Miss Hernandez start to live together? In what month and year? Look at me. In what month and year did you and Miss Hernandez start to live together?
January 15th of this year.
Prior to that time, Miss Hernandez was living alone?
Yes.
Do you know who was watching the dog?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever discuss, since you don't work, did you ever discuss with her who was watching the dog?
No, Your Honor.
Well, before you moved in, you must have seen the dog, right?
Yes.
Yes. So you knew she had a dog?
Yes.
Well, you don't think it would come up in conversation? What do you do with the dog during the day when you're working?
We had just gotten together.
What month had you just gotten together?
January 15th.
What do you mean you just got together? You mean you just got together and moved in?
No, in the beginning of January we did. And I decided to stay there because I just moved from Michigan. So I decided to stay there.
Stay where?
At her place.
Beginning of January?
15th, yes.
How did you meet her?
We went to high school together.
So were you communicating online or on telephone?
In person, online, yes.
Well, prior time, immediately preceding that time that you saw her.
It was the week prior to her picking up the dog.
What do you mean the week prior?
When she went to go pick up Zeus from the plaintiff a week before that day, that's when I moved in with her. And she told me everything that had happened with the dog. I had no knowledge of anything until we picked up the dog.
Did you go together to pick up the dog? And what did she tell you about the dog when you went to pick the dog up?
She couldn't financially after her separation with her husband before me.
So she was married?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she still married?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did she and her husband separate?
I have no knowledge.
So continue.
I then...
No, continue. She said after she and her husband separated...
She was working full-time and by herself, couldn't financially take care of a dog with it at home by himself.
She couldn't financially take care of the dog.
So she...
So what did she do?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I believe her that she had thought she had found a home and gave the dog to somebody else.
Well, she should have given me their information when we called her and asked her who the dog belonged to instead of taking ownership for it. Maybe they would have picked the dog up and it wouldn't have had the time to attack my dog.
Maybe. There are a lot of maybes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Amanda Calhoun says, after she took in a stray pit bull owned by Maribel Hernandez, the dog attacked and maimed her Chihuahua.
She couldn't financially take care of the dog.
So
what did she do?
The same thing how she had got him. She put him on Craigslist to try to find a good home. And once she did, because of what I know, when she found a good home, she took the dog to the gentleman, and they waited a while they got to know each other and play along, and, you know, then they went their separate ways, and that's when she had found out that the dog got out.
You mean from this gentleman?
From the gentleman that
she... on Craigslist?
Yes.
When did you find the gentleman on Craigslist?
November 11th.
Do you have his name?
No, ma'am, I don't quite remember.
Do you remember where he lived?
I didn't ask him where he lived.
Well, how did he get the dog?
We met up, and I made sure that he got along with
Where
Zeus.
did you meet up?
Somewhere by my house. I didn't feel comfortable having someone come to my house, so we met up at a park by my house.
And he said he would take the dog?
Yes, and Zeus really liked him.
Where's the dog now?
I have him.
Are you going to keep him?
Yes, now that I have help and after everything that happened, because I contacted them and I said, hey, I gave you this dog. He's been found on the streets. What's going on? And their first question was like, oh, what city did you find him in? And I'm like, what do you mean, what city? What city do you live in that you're wondering what city he's in? And I said, well, do you still want him? And they were like, oh, yeah. And I didn't really trust it. I just said, I'll get back to you when I'm updated. And they never tried to reach out to me, and I didn't trust it. So I just said, I'll figure it out and keep him.
Miss Calhoun.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're a very nice lady.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The defendant isn't responsible for your vet bills. It's unfortunate, but she's not responsible for your vet bills. She actually wouldn't even be responsible for your vet bills if it was her dog, but I actually believe that she had given the dog away to somebody else on Craigslist who was not a very, very good caretaker. She probably had miserable judgment in giving the dog to this person, but she was, too, going through a difficult period. So she probably, if she had more time, she might have investigated further into the character of the person she was giving the dog to. But this is pretty good advice. As a dog owner, I have small dogs. If I saw pit bull mix in my front yard, I would not bring it into my house with my 3 Shih Tzus.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by
.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
If I saw pit bull mix in my front yard, I would not bring it into my house with my 3 Shih Tzus.
I understand that, Your Honor, but at the time it was a holiday. I had nowhere to take him. I couldn't even call the Humane Society. Everything was closed. So it was either let him continue on the street or...
No, then you leave him outside and you keep your dog separated from until the holiday is over.
I tried my best to keep them separated, Your Honor, and she took full ownership for the dog the entire time. She never once told me that she gave them away. I even had to take the dog back to her. I drove the dog to her.
What I'm telling you is, you took the dog into your house.
I understand that, Your Honor. Trying to reunite it with its owner, because I could tell it had an owner.
Well, I believe her that at the time she had thought she had found a home in November and gave the dog to somebody else.
Well, she should have given me their information when we called her and asked her who the dog belonged to instead of taking ownership for it. Maybe they would have picked the dog up and it wouldn't have had the time to attack my dog.
Maybe. There are a lot of maybes, but mostly the maybe is maybe you should have let the dog stay in your yard.
And get hit by a car, Your Honor, or there's a lot of gang violence. Someone would have taken him in, and she wouldn't have her dog right now if I didn't take her dog in and do the right thing, Your Honor.
I'm telling you, you look like a very nice lady. You did a very nice thing. Unfortunately, what I'm telling you, a pit bull into my house that I found on the street.
I understand that, Your Honor.
I wouldn't. I would keep it in a garage.
I kept him outside. The only reason he was in the house at the time is because we were home. They were never once alone by themselves.
Okay, Miss Calhoun, you're not following me. I've made my decision. That's the law. If you do a good deed, and it was clearly a good deed, but you allowed the 2 dogs to be together with food around. You fed them separately, but there was still food around.
That's what they thought of.
Goodbye, Miss Calhoun. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
It was a sweetheart deal for his girlfriend.
You left, and you left your daughter in his house. You got a free ride.
I did not get a free ride.
Free ride. Free ride.
Judge Judy.
She still has her dog back, only because I did the right thing by taking the dog in.
I'm very grateful to her to pick him up.
If I'd not taken the dog in, he'd probably be dead right now or in the pound.
I tried to do the right thing in picking him up and making sure he didn't go back to an irresponsible owner.
Couldn't get through. We couldn't get through with anyone. The best thing I could do was take him to the vet, which I did, found his chip, got a hold of his owner.
I do think it was her fault for bringing the dog in.
I tried to stop it. I couldn't stop it for fear of getting bit myself.
And she had told me that her dog started
to protect his own food. The dog attacked him.
Even though it was a smaller dog.
So we rushed him to the hospital. They did what they could, but...
I absolutely feel really bad that, that happened to her dog.
It probably won't change. I'll probably still try to help animals because that's just who I am.
And, that my dog had to go through that ordeal because who knows what happened to him.
It's not the dogs, it's the owners.
Their former roommate is back.
I left my washer, dryer, my fridge.
But she's demanding top dollar.
Is it a refrigerator that you're still using?
It is, and it's leaking all over the kitchen.
Great, she's going to come and get it.
So they're not going to have to pay me for their portion?
Do you have any questions about that?
No, I'm clear.
Perfect.
This is Judge Judy.
Brandy Brown is suing her former tenants, Jeremy Stith, his brother, Jared Stith, and Riley Dawson, for damaged and stolen property and unpaid utility bills.
Order. All rise. It's case number 433 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Stith Dawson.
Thank you. Miss Brown, you were living in a house. Did you own the house or rent the house?
I rented the house, Your Honor.
So it didn't belong to you. How long had you rented the house?
I lived there for 7 years.
Did you have a lease?
No, Your Honor.
Who owns the house?
When I moved into it, my ex-mother-in-law owned the house. She has since passed, and so my ex-husband has inherited the house.
Did you pay him rent?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
How much?
$1,100 a month.
And when did he take possession of the house?
It was April of 2016.
I'm going to cut through all the chafe. Eventually, your two nephews, raise your hand, two nephews, they moved into the house.
Yes.
You had somebody else there, one of your kids or something, they were moving out. You let two nephews move in, and they brought in a friend. That would be you.
Yes, Your Honor. The friend did not move in until I got married and moved out.
That's okay. You moved out. In what month and year do you allege that they either damaged, destroyed, or took property that you own?
It was May of 2019.
Are you all still living in the house?
The two of us are.
Riley and myself. Jeremy has moved to the Bay Area.
So the two of you were living there?
Yes.
With anyone else?
Another roommate, Alex.
And who do you pay your rent to?
We pay our rent to a property management company that deals with...
Paying rent.
We now pay $1,600 in rent.
And when you moved out, Miss Brown, when you got married, did you all sign a lease with the new property management company?
Yes.
That is correct.
Do you have a copy of that lease?
Yes, it's in here, right? And...
So this lease was executed the following month, June 1st, 2019. Now, it is your claim that at some point, there's no question that when you moved out in May, were they paying rent prior to your two nephews prior to your moving out?
Yes.
How much rent were they paying?
$625 they were paying to me.
When you moved out in May, what items did you leave there?
I moved out, however, in April of 2017. My son lived there until May of 2019. That's why my things were still there for the boys to use until my son moved out.
May of 2019.
That's when my son moved out, yes. I left my things, they had nothing.
What things?
Okay, when I moved out, I left my washer, dryer, my fridge.
Hold on. Washer.
All of my household items.
This isn't your house. This is a rental house. So is what you're telling me, you purchased the washer,
Yes.
the dryer.
Yes. The fridge, the microwave, the air conditioners, the lawnmower.
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
And you have the bills for all of that?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. Well, something that's here for $1,000 was purchased in 2003.
Yes.
What was that?
It was a refrigerator.
Who was living in the house in 2003?
I brought the refrigerator when I moved in. I have no idea who was living there in 2003. When I moved in 2011, I already owned the refrigerator. I brought it with me, along with the stove and the microwave.
When you moved in, there was no refrigerator.
The house was empty.
And you brought in a refrigerator that you bought that's now 26 years old.
Absolutely, yes.
Is it a refrigerator that you're still using?
It is, and it's leaking all over the kitchen.
Great, she's going to come and get it. You would like that, right? Then you can get a new refrigerator.
It wouldn't be bad.
Right, she's going to come and get her 27-year-old refrigerator. This is a Lowe's.
I purchased a stove at the same time. That's 2003 as well.
Do you still have the stove?
We do.
She's going to come and get it. The 25-year-old
Thank
stove.
You.
This is a 2017.
Yes. The ones that I left there broke. I bought the new pair. My son was still living there.
Do you have the washer and dryer?
We do.
She's going to come and get it. I don't see any other receipts.
When I left that house, everything in that house, 98% of it was mine. Everything, the couches, everything. But I don't have receipts for everything.
All I'm telling you is those are the things that you're going to get. your washer, your dryer, your stove, and your refrigerator within 5 days. Now you claim that the defendants owe you a gas and an electric bill.
Yes.
From what month to what month?
Well, this bill says it closed at 6/10 of 19.
June 10, 2019.
Yes. 5/13 to 5/20 of 19.
So for a week?
However, there was a
Just
previous balance.
Is what you're telling me that they owe you for a week?
There was a previous balance on there. I don't know the exact dates of the previous balance.
Well, then I can't help you. Maybe it was when your son was there.
It was when my son was there.
Then I don't care.
Well, they paid the bills. They divided them by 4. I'm only asking for a third. There's 3 of them. There's still there. My son paid his portion.
I don't know that.
Your Honor, so they're not going to have to pay me for their portion?
Well, so far, you're talking to me about a week's worth of electric and some appliance you more to move, and I don't know what you're going to do with them. But if you want them, you go get them.
The issue, Your Honor, is that when I moved out, I told them they may keep my things. I married someone who also had a house full of furniture. When my son was leaving, I would come and retrieve my items. When my son told me in January he was leaving, I told him, what are you going to take? He didn't decide.
Listen, you can't tell me about the conversation that you had with your son. Right now, you have receipts of what you purchased that they say is still there, and you're going to come hire a moving company and pick up this old trash. Now, I want to know what bill that you are alleging they owe you.
The gas and electricity bill.
For the 1 week was how much?
The 1 week was $14.09.
$14. Now, what is the other balance that you allege?
It was $74.89.
And the entire bill?
Was $88.98. I paid it already.
So you've taken off your son's share?
No, my son paid his share.
I don't know that.
All right, you're right. I have taken off his share,
So
yes.
it's $74 divided by 4.
It was $88.98 divided by 4.
Well, then what did you say? What was 74?
Because the $74.89 was the previous balance. Then that 1 week after my son left.
So you have an $88 bill. Is that correct?
$88.98, yes.
$66. Now, next.
The gas bill.
And how much was that?
Altogether was $72.76. We have the same problem with that back and partial.
And was that when your son was living there?
Yes.
72 divided by 4 was 18. 72 minus 18 equals $54. 54 plus 66 plus 14 equals $134. $134. You have any questions about that?
No, I'm clear.
Perfect. $134 is yours. You pick up your washer, dryer, stove, and fridge within 5 days, or they have the right to either keep it and consider it abandoned or trash it. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Do we have a counterclaim? Nothing. We're done here. Thank you very much.
There's no
however.
They destroyed my property.
There's no however.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They destroyed my family's belongings.
It's unfortunate, for sure.
While I'm on the ground crying, the one boy was laughing.
She said I was laughing and that she was crying on the floor.
I don't mind about Jared, but I will never speak to Jeremy again.
Close the chapter. It's a great day.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the...
Letitia Latin is suing her ex-husband, Alan Alvarez, for unauthorized credit card charges.
Miss Latin, you and Mr. Alvarez were married, and
Yes.
then you were divorced. When were you divorced?
We got divorced in October of 2018.
And then you decided to see if you could make a go of it again.
Yes, so Alan...
when did you start living together again?
We never actually lived together again. He was living at his parents' house, and I was living at my parents' house as well.
So you never jointly owned an apartment after your divorce?
No, we did not.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
At some point, you gave him a credit card.
Yes, June of
What's the name of the credit card?
It is a Discover card.
And you gave him a Discover card that was in your name.
That is correct.
You made him a user on the card.
No, he was not an authorized user, so basically he had asked me to utilize this card to be able to...
Just a second. He was not an authorized user.
No, he was not. So he asked to use this card to be able to pay for school. I gave it to him in June of 2019, and he basically had stated that he wanted to utilize it to pay for his upcoming classes. He stated that it would be no more than...
Did you ever use the card together?
Yes, Your Honor.
No.
Sure. You never used the card for any purpose together?
No,
All of the charges on the card,
That is correct.
I'd like to see them.
Yes, I have all of the paperwork for you. So as you will see...
No. I just want to see. Well, we have Domino's Pizza in June. Who ate the pizza?
We both did.
He ate the pizza. That...
No, he didn't eat $40 worth of pizza.
Maybe him and his family, but once again, Your Honor, he had that card, so he could utilize it, you know.
Pay careful attention to me.
Yes.
Is what you're telling me in June, when you gave him the card, because that's when this first bill is, there's Domino's Pizza in Houston, Texas.
Yes, that was not my transaction. Once I gave him the card, once again, it had a $0 balance.
We're not going in the same direction. I didn't ask you whether he used it for some of his expenses. I asked you whether you ever used it jointly, like when you went out and grabbed dinner.
No.
You said no. Okay, he's going to tell me his side of the story, then I'm going to figure out who I believe.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Who's supposed to make the payments that were yours?
Or a verbal agreement between each other was I could make payments whenever I could.
You think that I'm going to believe that?
No, ma'am.
You think that I'm going to believe that? So
no, ma'am.
Why do you even...
Letitia Latin is suing her ex-husband, Alan Alvarez, for unauthorized credit card charges.
Now, then we had a new balance. That's a big balance. And that was in August, $2,000. Amazon, July 13th, $699. What did you buy?
Camera.
For whom?
I think she bought one.
No, you have a camera.
I bought one, too.
He charged...
Shh. One camera, but then I have a Best Buy, and then I have an Amazon Marketplace for $587. Pay attention to me. Did you buy a camera?
I do not have a camera. So once again, what he did with that is basically he utilized the card to be able to buy these purchases. And I'm not sure what the $587 one was, but I do not have it in my possession. And once again, this card was supposed to be utilized only strictly for school. But
Hey, you keep saying that, and what I'm telling you is I want to know that when you went someplace together, did you say, well, use the card?
No, we use mainly debit cards.
That's false.
No, that's correct. But we use mainly debit cards for purchases together, preferably not credit cards.
A new balance.
Because I seen how high it was beginning to get. And
so, just a second, so you paid the bill?
Yes, I paid something on the bill. Because at that point, I had realized how much he was racking up on this card that was supposed to be utilized for school in August, only for $350, which I confronted him about it. From there, he actually sent over one payment for about $100 to be able to pay down the card. And then I put something else additional on it because I care for my credit and I don't want that balance to be, you know,
So you made a payment in August?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, once I seen how much.
Just a second. Well, who charged 2 tickets on British Airways on August 3rd?
That would be him. He has a friend who's having a wedding in Italy or Rome, and so he said that he wanted to surprise me with a trip there. So he actually charged for that amount. And I have...
Just a second. I'm not getting involved with playing house with this. That's sort of your problem. I want you to show me proof of what you paid on the card.
I have proof of payments I made.
I didn't ask you anything.
I'll bring it up to you.
No. What is it?
I have my bank statements.
How much you paid on the card?
I've paid $460 on it.
Yeah, but the camera was more expensive
Yes, ma'am, that's true.
Yours.
Or a verbal agreement between each other was I could make payments whenever I could after a split up.
Well, just a second. You could make payments whenever you could? You think that I'm going to believe that?
No, ma'am.
You think that I'm going to believe that? So
no, ma'am.
Why do you even go at it? Listen, I'm not going through these things because that's not what courts do.
Sure.
You clearly owe more than what you paid. Go outside and figure out what are yours. Did anybody go on this trip to Italy?
No, ma'am.
Well, somebody better return the tickets.
I have...
Just a second. Outside, figure out what you owe on the card. Whatever is a meal, pizza, Chick-fil-A, Olive Garden, I don't want to know from it. I only want to know what purchases are yours on this card.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And then I'll see you whenever I see you. Later rather than sooner, I hope.
This case will be recalled.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Courts don't get involved in this kind of business with two people that aren't married.
Yeah.
I'm saying you gave him your credit card, and there isn't a question in my mind that you and he used that credit card together for certain things. I am not dealing with that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. In a case earlier today,
Alan Alvarez for unauthorized credit card charges.
All right, have you gone over the list of items that are there?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see what you've identified as your items.
She got the list.
Well, what items have you identified as yours?
A charge of $587 on Amazon Market. A combined charge of Domino's and Olive Garden, which comes out to $44.25.
And you didn't go there together. You went there alone.
I went with her.
No, he did not, Your Honor. And then also, in regards to those charges, I actually have...
I'm going to throw this back at you. What I asked you was $44. I'm not splitting a bill from Olive Garden. I want to know, what are your charges on this? Have you figured it out yet? And if not, you can go back, figure it out, what your charges. I don't want Olive Garden. I don't want Pizza Hut. I don't want Domino's Pizza. I want what your charges are. And if you can't do it, I'm sending you home.
I have my charges here, Your Honor.
Then what are your charges?
I have $206 with 10 cents for PayPal, and a combined of
what was $587?
Ma'am, it was a camera.
$206
and 10 cents for PayPal.
What did you do with that?
I went to a convention and.
What else?
And $277 for my insurance payment.
Insurance?
Yes, ma'am. Car insurance.
And that's what the two of you discussed and agreed to outside?
We did not agree. So once again, Your Honor, even the charges for, the beginning of this, where he was stating that I, put some on the card, I was actually out of town, and I actually have documentation showing that I actually was on a cruise. So how can I partake in charging anything on these cards? And then once again, he also had sent me a list of text messages showing that he was aware that he owed a balance. He got mad at me because I didn't want to take him back and have intercourse with him, and this is where he got upset and no longer wanted to pay the balance.
Let me explain something to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Courts don't get involved in this kind of business with two people that aren't married.
Yeah, I understand.
We don't get involved with this. I'm being very kind to you.
Yes.
I'm saying you gave him your credit card, and there isn't a question in my mind that you and he used that credit card together for certain things. I am not dealing with that. I'm not splitting. Return the plane tickets.
The plane tickets, I actually have...
That's a yes or a no?
No, I did not.
So you still have them?
Yes, in my possession, which I actually have seen that they will give me basically some type of credit for it. Good. But I don't think I should be held responsible for his portion
$12.80, judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Return the tickets.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
A style showdown in her consignment shop.
She grabbed my hair and started yanking it. And we started fighting.
Someone was arrested. That would be you.
Yes.
Judge Judy.
None of these charges were mine.
She told me I could do whatever. I did whatever.
He had cheated on me.
I did, but there's a reason why.
Just be more careful with who I trust my heart with, because apparently that did not work.
She's spiteful, angry.
You try to give people a second chance, it doesn't always,
She was the meanest person I've ever been with.
It was a sweetheart deal for his girlfriend.
How much money did you contribute to the house? Give me a rough figure.
$1,200.
That's a bargain in anybody's universe.
And their breakup was...
Daughter in his house. You got a free ride.
I did not get a free ride.
Free ride.
This is Judge Judy.
Jennifer Adams is suing her ex-boyfriend, Mike Owens, for an unpaid loan and property damage.
Order. All rise. It's case number 437 on the calendar, the matter of Adams versus Owens.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Miss Adams, this is what your case is about generally. You and Mr. Owens were a couple. You had lived in one place, then he bought a house. When he bought the house, according to you, in order to show that he had some money in the bank, he said to you, I need for you to pay some of the expenses in the house so that I can keep this balanced, and I'll give that back to you. So you consider that a loan. You and your daughter were living in the house with Mr. Owens, is that right?
Part of the time. I kept my apartment until August of 2019.
I don't care whether you kept your apartment or not. That doesn't matter to me whether you kept your apartment or not. I said you were living in the house with him with your daughter.
My daughter only lived there from September 10th on.
From September 10th until when?
September 10th. Are you talking about me living there?
You.
I stayed off and on with him. I went back to my apartment and I stayed with him. We broke up several times.
I don't care whether you broke up. You can break up and get angry and then come back. I read your complaint. You said you broke up and you moved out.
Correct.
Okay,
So
when
we
you
bought the
broke
house
up
in
and you
April.
moved, listen to me. If you have your own apartment, then you don't have things there. Because one of the things you're suing for are things that were there. If you have your own apartment and you sleep over at the defendant's house, that's a different story. Let me read the first sentence, because maybe I'm mistaking this case for another one. Mike and I were together for over a year. While dating, Mike said he wanted to buy a house for both of us, and I would not be responsible for any rent. He told me I should get rid of my apartment. That's the way you started. Correct. That doesn't sound like I kept my apartment. He lived in his house, and I would go back and forth and back and forth. That sounds as if you were living there as a couple with your daughter. So let's not play with me. Okay?
Yes.
Unless you want to take back this complaint.
No.
And then I'll recall your case, and you can redo it consistent with the story that you're telling me now.
No, I stayed with him. She did not move in until the apartment was done. But like I said, there was some back and forth. But yes, I had stuff at
I don't
both
understand
places.
this back and forth. I don't understand what you're trying to do. What you're trying to do is confuse me, which is not easy to do, Miss Adams. Not easy to do, because it seems to me, in this case, you want the best of both worlds. You have a daughter.
And working.
Okay. And what was she doing with her money?
Paying her car payment and her insurance.
What was she doing to pay money for the house that she was living in?
In the apartment?
No, in his house. You left, and you left your daughter in his house.
Right.
That's what you said in here.
He said she did not have
No. Don't tell me what he said. I'm asking you a question.
She did not pay him any money.
So you left him and your daughter in his house. You left, went back, I assume, to your apartment. Is that right?
No, my apartment was gone by the time I left.
Oh, so you got rid of your apartment. So it couldn't have been a back and forth.
That's what I was saying.
So you went someplace
September
else.
10th.
You went someplace else, and you left your daughter, who wasn't paying any expenses in the house because she was going to college. I'm just getting my facts straight, so I understand what the situation is, Miss Adams.
So
you weren't paying him any money for the house when you were living there. You left your daughter in the house, whether for a month or 2 months or 3 months. How many months were you there? Count on, go just show me.
Until the end of January.
From what month to the end of January? How many months? Show me with your fingers.
Like 3 or 4.
So you were there for 3 or 4, well, you put up a lot of fingers. You were there for 3 or 4 months. You were there for 3 or 4 months after your mother left. Questions. These are very easy questions, and we're not talking about something that happened 20 years ago. We're talking about something that happened last year. How many months were you in the house with Mr. Owens after your mother picked up and left?
About a month and a half.
And how long were you there altogether with your mother?
Since September 10th.
With your fingers, show me. How many months were you
3
there?
or 4.
4 months altogether. Now, in the month and a half that you were there with Mr. Owens alone, that's what you say, you were there for a month and a half, did you pay any of the expenses for the house?
No.
Did you pay any expenses for the house? That's a yes or a no?
No.
How much money did you pay in expenses when you were living at Mr. Owens' house before you left for you and your daughter?
Over $3,000.
And how did you pay the $3,000?
Cash and bills.
Okay, so you gave him cash, and that had nothing to do with the money that you're suing him for?
No, that is the money I'm suing him for.
Oh, so let me understand this. You and your daughter lived in the house for 4.5 months, and the expenses that you paid was zero if what you're suing him for is the money that you're suing him for now. So what you paid were bills.
Well, in addition to the money he borrowed from my taxes, I paid a bunch of his bills, which I have.
I'd like to hear.
Okay.
What bill?
I paid for bills when we were out of town, when he was working.
No, we're not sloughing over things. He was out of town working, and he put you on his bank account, correct? Yes. Who put money in that bank account?
He did.
So you didn't pay the bills. He paid the bills. You physically wrote.
I paid out of my account. That's what I'd like to show you.
You paid not out of a joint account.
Correct.
You paid out of your account. On what date did you pay money out of your account and for what bill?
Okay, well, one big one is part of the house payment, $166.
On what date?
That was on 7/8.
Go ahead.
I have Idaho Power.
That was out of your personal account?
Yes.
Idaho Power.
$60.
60 on what date?
6/3.
In June, so they're June, July, August, September, October. What date did you move out of his house?
It was
what month?
January.
Of what year?
This year.
January of 2020?
Like I said,
Don't speak. So you paid a house payment and a power payment in June, which means you were there June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and you moved out in January, right? So that you were there 7 months, or you were there 7 months.
I was given, okay.
We're talking about the house.
April is when the house was purchased.
You know that if what you're telling me is that the entire extent of your contribution were a couple of bills that you paid out of your personal account, and the $3,000 that was used to purchase the house, and you paid, with the exception of this $166, a house payment out of your own account, we're done. You understand that, Miss Adams?
Yes,
Your
but that's not the
responsibility. How
only
many
bills.
children did you have living in the house with you?
I had her son moved in.
Just a second. When did her son move in?
Probably around September. He moved in for about a month.
How old is he?
He's 19.
Did he contribute to the household?
No, and I have a statement here, too, for you.
I don't need a statement. Who else lived in the house, other than her son for a month,
After
and then her
he's
daughter?
gone, Jacqueline moved in.
Did you have any children of your own living in the house?
No, I haven't.
Cumulatively, from April, when the house was purchased, until January, when her daughter moved out, can you give me a rough amount of money that she gave you towards the running of the house?
She never handed me any money at all. Everything was through debit cards that we used. And I do not receive any cash from her at all.
At the beginning, when you purchased the house, did you need to have any cash, a particular amount of money? And she would now like me to say it was a loan that she gave you.
I got a loan from my sister for the house, right here.
I'm talking about money she gave you.
No.
A $2,700 payment?
No.
Show me the $2,700 payment. I just want to see it.
Here's when my taxes came in. And then this page is marked when I gave him the $1,415 cash. And then on his account...
Just a second. Do you have any proof that you gave him $1,400 in cash?
I have him showing on his account that he deposited on the same day, $800 of it.
Do you remember that $1,400?
No, I do. When we purchased this house, there was two $800 deposited into the account, and Jennifer signed it and I signed it that it was not a loan.
You mean for the bank?
Yes, from the bank.
Okay. Miss Adams.
Yes.
In the 7 months that you and your children, one or both of them, lived in the house, how much money did you contribute to the house? Give me a rough figure.
Probably $1,200.
That's a bargain in anybody's universe. You and your 2 children lived in a house for 7 months, and it cost you $1,200. That's a bargain in anybody's universe. So I don't know what you're doing here. I have no idea what you're wasting my time for.
Can I explain to you?
I'm just telling you, if you gave him $1,200 during the time you were living there, and another $3,000, that it's $4,200 over a period of 7 months for you and your 2 children to live in his house, what I'm telling you is, I don't know what you're doing here. I don't know what you're doing here.
He told me I did not have to pay a thing.
Okay. We're done with that part of your case. Absolutely finished. Finito.
So you won't look at all this?
No. You can take it and you can trash it.
What about the destruction of property?
The
destruction of property.
Well, when did you move out?
I moved out at the end of November, or the beginning of November 11th.
Just a second. Was any of your property, when you moved out the end of November, was any of your property prior to your moving out destroyed?
Yes. Well,
what? Just a second. Let's get it together. prior to your moving out, because you don't write that in your complaint, very, very careful here. You move out the end of November.
November 10th.
Prior to November 10th, was any of your property destroyed? That's either a yes or a no.
No, next day.
You moved out. He could take your property, throw it into a dumpster. He could do anything he wants with your property. You're gone. That's what you said. You're gone. If you want to be gone, if you want to be gone and move your property, I mean, it's not that you moved out and said, I assume, that said, I'm going to be back.
And he was fine with that.
And did, just a second. So when you moved out, you said to him, I'm going to be back for my property.
Yes.
Little by little. And what did he say to you when you said, I'm leaving my daughter, I'll be back for my property little by little? What did he say to you? Did he say that was okay?
Yes. We have been friends up until this happened. Up until
what happened?
When I sued him.
Listen to me. I'm asking you a question. My question to you is a simple one. When you said, I'm leaving you, I'm going to be back and forth to get my property,
right?
Did he say to you, that's fine?
Yes.
Is that what you said to her?
I have text messages.
I'd like to read them.
All right.
Just give me the ones that say, I'm coming back for my property and it's fine, and then you'll tell me what it was that he destroyed.
This just shows that we've been friends the whole
I don't
time.
care whether you've been friends from the umbilical cord.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was a nice man. You were friends for a long time. You got a free ride. So did your son. So did your daughter.
I did not get a free ride.
Free ride. Free ride.
No, you're not understanding.
Free ride.
No.
Free ride.
Ex-boyfriend Mike Owens owes for a loan and property damage. Mike is countersuing for stolen money, lock-changing costs, and harassment.
Just give me the ones that say, I'm coming back for my property and it's fine, and then you'll tell me what it was that he destroyed. Okay. So this has to do with couches.
Yes.
And this was on December 25th. So this is like a month after you moved out.
I had stuff there until January.
Who cares? I don't care if he had stuff there. You weren't there. You weren't paying rent. He can take your stuff and he can throw it out. Now, you gave him a whole list of stuff that you wanted him. I need my spice rack, coffee pot, TV upstairs, couch, motorcycle, plastic chairs out back, TV stand in the front room. See, you were living there.
Yeah, once we moved out of the apartment.
Just a second. You were living there with your kid. I'm not paying for it. Now, did you get your couches?
Yes.
Did you get your spice rack?
Yes.
Did you get your motorcycle?
Yes.
And what are you complaining that he broke?
Here's a picture of my mirror that was against the wall. He took everything out of the closet, which you can show. He broke the nightstand and he threw all the stuff in a corner. I only have left shoes. I'm missing clothing, which I have pictures of his girlfriend wearing.
I don't care.
But the mirror was the big thing, and I have an estimate for it.
Okay. And when was it broken?
The day after he
How do
sent
you
me a
know
text
that?
message.
Let me see the text message about the broken mirror. Mess.
And then I'll also hand you...
Just show me
That's from my
where
daughter.
he says he broke the mirror and how it got broken.
Oh, I guess it says he blew up and he's packing my stuff out. That's when he broke the mirror.
Just tell me.
And that's from my daughter when she showed up right after
Where's
the mirror
Mike?
got broke.
Did he break the mirror? Yeah. And helping me clean up, but we're okay. You sure you're okay? Do you want me to go down and stay at home? No, I'm sorry. Going to stay, all clean up this mess, and it's okay. Would you please show me where he says he broke the mirror?
I was mistaken.
Were you
It just says
there?
he blew up.
I came home to it.
Okay. You came home, but you didn't see how it broke.
Yes, and he told me he broke it and that he was sorry and that he just got agitated.
Okay. Well, you want to tell me how the mirror broke?
When I was packing her clothes out of the closet, I threw them in a corner. The mirror was leaning up against the wall. It did fall over and break.
So it was an accident.
It was an accident. And then
Move
same
on.
thing with the nightstand.
Move on.
Do you want the picture?
No. He was a nice man. You were friends for a long time. You got a free ride. So did your son. So did your daughter.
I did not get a free ride.
Free ride. Free ride.
No, you're not understanding
Free
my...
ride.
No.
Free ride.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
sympathetic with you, but you're playing house with somebody. You're an idiot to put somebody on a joint bank account. She went and took out $1,254. Did you close the joint checking account? Okay, this is your very good friend.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jennifer Adams says ex-boyfriend Mike Owens owes for a loan to pay for living expenses while he was buying a house.
Now, you lived with him at least from April until January of this year, and all told you paid $4,000 for you and your kid, who were living with him, who he took care of. And when you left him, and clearly it wasn't a happy time between the two of you, because according to you, he was angry that you just left, and he was packing up your stuff, something broke by accident.
I don't believe that.
I don't care what you believe. Actually, madam, I don't know what you're doing here.
He borrowed money, and I have it on recording.
I'm just telling you. I've given you my answer with regard to that. From April until January, how much cash money you spent on yourself, your daughter, and your son who were living in his house. Do you work?
Yes.
What do you do?
I do accounting, accounts receivable, about 4 days a week, 2 hours a day.
2 hours a day. So you work 8 hours a week.
Yes.
You must be a very high hourly paid person.
No, I'm on disability. I'm sick.
So you also get disability?
Yes.
For how long?
Since 2003.
Is there any reason why you can't work more than 2 hours a day?
Yes, I'm very sick.
Okay. Now, did she return your keys?
She UPS'd them at the end of January after she kept entering my house with my girlfriend living there.
Okay. You now have a new girlfriend?
Yes.
Does she pay rent?
Yes, she does.
Okay. Now, your countersuit mainly is this, that she took out from the joint account $1,254.
Yes.
You had put her on your joint account, she says, because she paid bills when you were out of town.
When I was purchasing the house.
Because she's telling me that she paid other bills out of her own account.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sympathetic with you, but you're playing house with somebody. You're an idiot to put somebody on a joint bank account and put money in it. She went closed the joint checking account. Okay, this is your very good friend. Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, then the other thing is, in July of 2019, you took a trip. It was supposed to be her treat. Borrowed money. You had to pay her father back for it. I don't care about that. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. You're living together. You're playing house. I don't get involved with that. We have divorce courts for that, but we don't have courts for almost people who are almost living together. Are you all happy now? You have a new girlfriend, right, who's living and paying rent?
Yes.
Sounds like a keeper to me.
It is.
We're done.
Oh, yeah.
All these are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
This scam went into overdrive.
She asked us if we wanted the vehicle for $500.
A new Tesla.
We were fools for believing her.
No, you were more than fools.
Judge Judy.
I think she was really mad because I got another girl living in the house. Nowhere to go, nowhere to put it, and so I just left it there.
That doesn't pay rent, that gets food stamps, and they live off it.
You know, so I kept telling her that she needs to get her stuff out. And
so the whole thing is just a bunch of lies.
Just keep the trash out.
Don't date the crazies.
She said you wore the items and you re-tagged them.
Controversy in her consignment shop.
You had them cleaned and you put them back on the rack. Mm-hmm. You didn't like that.
Then a style showdown.
You went to get your clothes.
Correct. And we started fighting.
Someone was arrested. That would be you.
This is Judge Judy.
Victoria Paul is suing her former friend, C.C. Rocker, for the return of clothes she was selling on consignment, a false arrest, and harassment.
Order. All rise. This Case number 462 on the calendar in the matter of Paul versus Rocker.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. Paul, this is short version of what I see in the complaint and the answer. You minor clothes to the defendant who had a shop.
Correct.
And you were in close proximity to her shop.
Well, I was upstairs. She was downstairs.
Give me the month and year that you gave her the clothes.
July 2019.
And then you say that you saw either the defendant or some other people wearing the clothes that you had given her on consignment.
Correct.
And then having them cleaned and putting them back on for sale.
Correct.
You didn't like that, and you were upstairs. So you went downstairs on what date?
I didn't go downstairs. I sent her an email after I requested the payout information.
You never got paid for the clothes?
No.
But at some point, you did go downstairs to retrieve your clothes.
Correct.
On what date was it that you went downstairs to retrieve your clothes?
Probably a week after our agreement.
So you went downstairs, and tell me what happened when you went downstairs.
Well, it was a prelude to our email. I went downstairs in response to the email of her telling me to come and get my things because she was upset that I had basically outed her on saying I've seen items that I was not paid for on other people on social media, including yourself. And these items were not in the payout agreement, but they're here being worn or sold by others. And my things are so limited, I know what belonged to myself.
Wanted them back.
Correct, or payout for it.
Well, she wasn't giving you the payout, so you went downstairs to get your clothes.
Correct.
And that was also in July. So you go downstairs, you grab your clothes, and you took them upstairs.
But not everything.
Most of the stuff.
Correct.
She got mad and came to where you were.
Correct.
To get her hangers. Because when you took the clothes, you took them on the hangers. So she wanted her hangers back. And that's when the fight took place.
Yes.
And as a result of this fight, someone was arrested.
Correct.
That would be you.
Yes.
And you were arrested for assault?
Simple battery.
What happened with that case?
It was dismissed or dropped. It was never moved forward with the DA's office.
So there were no charges ever filed?
Correct.
You never appeared before a judge?
Correct.
Or did you appear before a judge?
No.
Was there a protective order issued?
No.
So what you are seeking now is for the value of the clothes, some of which have already been worn.
Correct.
For a false arrest.
Correct.
And I don't know what the harassment is. She has a counterclaim for the money owed for an assault and defamation. Okay, let's deal with that first. You're upstairs getting your hangers back.
Correct, as well as the garment that she wanted me to pay for. Retrieve both the hangers and the duster.
The what?
It's called a duster. It's like a cardigan. I went to retrieve the cardigan and hangers from her store upstairs.
Why that cardigan?
Because she requested that when I send her payout information to include it, when she came to pick up the clothing, she actually took it with her. So I said, okay, return that with the hangers, and we'll get this all squared away.
Miss Rocker, did you ever pay her for any of the things that she gave you on consignment? Did you ever pay her any money?
No, ma'am.
Okay. She's going to show me pictures of either you or you and other people wearing the clothing that she gave you on consignment to sell.
Well,
Just a second. Now, did you allow other people to wear clothing that she had given you on consignment to sell? That's either a yes or a no.
That's correct.
So that's a yes. Now, when she gave you the clothing to sell on consignment, it was new, correct?
Not the thing that the designer wore was not new.
Just a second. Are you saying that all but one item was new?
One of the items, correct.
All but one of the items was new.
Or not, but of the items that we're speaking upon, one was not new, but the others were.
Were new.
Correct.
Once you wore them, or somebody else wore them, you understand that they're no longer new.
I do understand that.
So that they lose value.
Exactly. That's why you would put them on sale.
Just a second. That they lose value.
Correct.
Now, did you have written authorization from her to take her new items that she had given you to sell, make them used items, and then try to sell them? Did you have that in writing from her?
In our contract, it stated that
just a second. Don't talk. Show me the contract. Then the answer is yes. Show me the contract. I want you to circle in the contract where it says that the items can be worn,
well,
and
in the
therefore
circle
in the contract where it says that the items can be worn and then returned to inventory and therefore must be sold as old or used. Just circle in the contract. It doesn't say that at all.
Well, it states that
it doesn't say that at all.
Her property to make that decision.
No. It doesn't say that you can wear it. Doesn't say, I don't know what you underline. All inventory provided to the store will now be considered the property of Created Risk Boutique for at least 30 days.
Correct.
To you, that means that you can wear it and sell it as used?
Well, no, that wasn't what I was stating at all.
Just listen. Hey, listen. My question to you is, do you have a contract that permits you to take new merchandise, make it used merchandise by wearing it, or allow others to wear it for whatever purpose, whether you say it's for advertising, whatever it is? Do you have a contract that says that? You just underlined this. This is not what it says at all.
Well, I'm not necessarily negating that part of the claim.
Fine, very good. Then she owes you for the value of the clothing. What's the value of the clothing?
$32.56.
Let me see the items, please.
The inventory list, and then here's the part.
Would she be able to return that item as well?
This is the inventory.
Some of it. It didn't all fit in her inventory control thing, and when she came into my store, I manually wrote it by hand.
Okay. Now what I'd like you to show me or tell me is about the assault that you were arrested on.
Okay, so the day that she came in...
You go upstairs to get your hangers. And?
Well, Victoria sent me an email stating for me to come upstairs and grab the hangers and the duster from her. I walk upstairs, and as soon as I walk in, I was on the phone with my mother. She tells me to get off the phone with my mother so that we can have a conversation. I told her, I'm just here to get the items. I need to get back to my store. I left it unlocked. At that time, Victoria begins to get irate and tell me she's not going to give me back any hangers or anything at all. So once she gets irate, I immediately turn around and say, you know what? I'm getting out of here. My mom's in the phone. She's like, get out of there right away.
Don't tell me what your mother said.
You know, but right away, I go to get out of the store. Victoria had huge sliding glass doors on her store. She tries to close them to keep me in the store. When she couldn't get them closed, she stands in front of me and starts pushing me back in the store, telling me that I'm not going anywhere, that this is her store, she's not giving me anything, I'm messing with the wrong girl now.
And so she pushed you?
She pushes me. She's standing in front of me
just a second. She pushed you. And what was the next thing that happened?
She grabbed my hair.
She pushed you?
Well, we kind of were pushing each other because she was standing in front of me, you know.
She pushed you. You pushed her. Next thing that happened?
She grabbed my hair and started yanking it. And we started fighting.
Okay. When you were fighting, describe what's fighting.
We were literally fighting all over her store, like from this side to that side.
Standing up.
We were falling over the ground, tussling, pretty much all over the store. People were walking by, but no one ever stopped.
Okay. Now, I'd like to see a report of any injuries that you had.
I have the police report.
I'd like to see a report.
Well, it tells the injuries that they visibly saw as well as their medical.
Right. And then I would like to see the medical reports that you have.
I actually didn't get the opportunity to go to the...
Not actually. Did you go to a hospital?
I did not.
Did you go to seek medical attention?
I seek the medical attention right then on the scene.
All right. So the answer is no.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't go to the doctor.
All right, then just say no.
Oh, sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
Let me explain to you. If you went to buy a car, you would be making car payments, right?
Yes,
that would be. So you feel less terrible when you leave here.
Victoria Paul says former friend Cece Rocker owes for the return of clothes, a false arrest, and harassment. Cece is countersuing for assault, harassment, and defamation.
Okay, so far you owe her $3,256. Who's Watson?
I'm Watson. That is my legal name. I'm going by my professional name today.
But your name is Watson. How am I supposed to tell the difference?
Well, I'm letting you know
Just a
now
second.
that... Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're Watson.
Of course.
Okay, so the police officer noticed carpet burns on both of your knees, and she said that you had scratches to your face and arms. That's why she was arrested. Now, there's no question in my mind that she was annoying and you prevented her from leaving because you wanted to talk to her about the clothes and what she owed you because they were worn. There's no question about that. There's no question in my mind that both of you acted badly on that day because your recourse is to come to court and sue her for the clothes, which
Correct.
you're absolutely entitled to, not to have an altercation with her. And Miss Rock talked to you, and you go up there with your headphones on talking to your mother and saying, I'm not talking to you about the clothes that I actually stole from you.
We actually had just had a conversation.
That I actually stole.
We had a conversation previous before I ever went up to her store in my store earlier.
Absolutely did not.
Just a second. And what was the conversation?
The conversation was about the clothing. These are actually the payout reports for the clothing that we had. We were speaking about her not trusting. And I was telling her, no, it's not an issue of you not trusting me or anything like that. And as we continued the conversation, she says, you stole my idea. So that's when I said, you know what, let's go ahead and dissolve our agreement. But the conversation was about the report and how I went about it, and I explained to her about advertising and
yeah,
etc.
I understand,
so,
but you explained about to her. What I'm telling you is you took her new clothes, you made them old clothes, and you had no right to do that.
I understand.
Well, evidently not, because what I'm telling you is there are certain things that make sense and certain things that don't make sense.
Correct.
You went upstairs to get your hangers, and you told the police that she told you to come upstairs to get your hangers.
Correct.
Right? But she also wanted to talk to you.
She didn't say that in the email.
But when you got up there...
She was very aggressive.
She didn't give a rat's behind about your hangers. You cared about your hangers.
Well, I also wanted the cardigan back, so but she didn't return them.
About $3,000 worth of merchandise.
No, she did not. Her inventory is there. It's about $1,000 in total if she would have sold every single thing.
I wouldn't trust you.
She went through it before.
I wouldn't trust you to sell stuff on consignment if what you did with her clothes was wear them, not only you, but other people wear them, you had them cleaned, and you put them back on the rack.
But she did not ask to leave the store. I asked her to leave.
Fine. Now you have one opportunity to tell me about defamation.
The defamation. With the defamation, once
don't speak.
You don't want me to tell you?
Don't speak. Yeah, well, she put this on. She said you wore the items and you re-tagged them. That's true. And then, I don't know what this is.
That is actually from the witness statement.
I don't know what this is.
That's a message that she actually posted in December saying that I'm a con artist and a scammer and things like that. She posted that
Just a second, I gave you thousands of dollars of inventory to sell. Bare store with no money up front. You'd rather wear the clothes and dry clean and put them back on for sale. Shame on you. That's not defamation. It's all true.
That I'm a scammer and a con artist?
Judgment,
yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The only reason it turned into this is because Victoria attacked me.
We won the case, and that's all I really wanted was justice for my store.
Some people, they just can't help when you do better than them.
Do not judge a book by its cover. She looked slim and sweet, but she was the snake and sour.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Walsh versus Mackey. Step forward.
Kirsten Walsh is suing her former roommate, Christopher Mackey, for the return of money for a car.
So, Miss Walsh, this is relatively simple. You and the defendant lived together. You were a couple. He wanted to buy a new car, but he had another car. You needed a car. And according to you, you made arrangements with him that you would take over the payments on his old car. And once you finished paying off the loan on the car, he would transfer the title to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you drove the car. You're going to tell me for how long. And then the two of you broke up, and you took the car. He said, I want my car back because car's in my name. If you have an accident, I'm responsible. If you get a ticket, I'm responsible. If you hit somebody, I'm responsible. And now we're not a couple anymore, right?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And you said, no, I've been making payments on this car, and I want you to give me back all the money that I paid.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My question to you is, do you want to give him $10,000? If that's what's left on the loan, you pay him $10,000, he'll give you the car. Am I correct?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Absolutely. Your choice.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Kirsten Walsh is suing her former roommate, Christopher Mackey, for the return of money for a car.
Let me explain to you. If you went to buy a car, you would be making car payments, right?
Yes, Your
That
Honor.
would be correct. And you'd have to put down a down payment. That would also be correct. Correct?
Typically, yes, Your Honor.
He didn't ask you for a down payment, did he?
No, Your Honor.
No. Okay. So let's just get some dates so you feel less terrible when you leave here. From when to when did you live together?
We moved in together, Your Honor, in October of 2019.
And when did you leave?
I moved out on December 31st.
And when did you make this arrangement with the car?
It was in September of 2019.
How many car payments did you make?
I made 5 car payments, Your Honor.
And how much was each of the car payments?
$400.
Before you took over the car payments from him, did you own a vehicle?
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of car?
2014 Jeep Cherokee.
What did you do with it?
I was in the Hyundai.
Well, where is it now?
It's operational at this time, Your Honor, and I've been driving it.
So what you're telling me is you kept 2 cars?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did you do, get it fixed?
Yes, Your Honor. I've been paying for the repairs on my Jeep.
Okay, well, that's a good idea. Now, the Jeep you bought for cash?
I've been making payments on it monthly. I have it financed through a Chrysler Finance.
Good. And how much are your car payments on the Jeep?
$650 a month.
So $400 a month, you understand $400 a month would be a bargain.
Yes.
Right. So why would you think if you drove his car for 5 months that you're entitled to all the money back?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, what's left on the car?
I still owe about $10,000, Your Honor, with
Do you want to give him $10,000? My question to you is, do you want to give him $10,000? If that's what's left on the loan, you pay him $10,000, he'll give you the car. Am I correct?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Absolutely. It's up to you. Your choice. He doesn't want you to pay off the car, and I absolutely believe he's 100 a couple anymore. If you have an accident, if you drop the insurance, whatever it is, he doesn't want to just be a lien holder on this car. He wants it out of his name. Do you want to give him, in order to fulfill the contract, $10,000 now?
At this point, no, Your Honor.
Then your case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Their dog reached to the fence and bit our dog on the nose.
Pictures speak louder than words.
What the defendants have here is compelling evidence to me.
Next Judge Judy.
Now I don't have the money that I put in to purchase the car, nor do I have a car.
I feel that the judgment was fair.
Our relationship fell apart after I caught him in lies.
It's handled, and I can move on.
Don't trust men.
Be careful who you trust, and don't let anyone take advantage of it.
Their so-called friend talked a good game.
She wanted to buy a bar and she wanted to go in business with us.
Then this scam went into overdrive.
She had stated that she had bought her ex-boyfriend a Tesla. She asked us if we wanted the vehicle for $500.
A new Tesla fools.
This is Judge Judy.
Jasmine and Jose Acosta are suing their former friend, Ramona Segura, for a loan, Disneyland tickets, a garage fee, and fraud.
Order. All rise. It's case number 448 on the calendar in the matter of Costa versus Segura.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Acosta, the defendant was a friend of yours. How did you meet her?
We met her at the bar my husband works at. She's a regular there. We have mutual friends.
And it is your claim that the defendant scammed you 3 times.
Correct.
Tell me when the first time was and how you think that she took your money under false pretenses.
Okay, so it started that she was at the bar. She talked to my husband, asked him if we have any children. She stated that she works at Disneyland, that she could get us discount tickets as well as...
Is that where you work?
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead.
So she stated she worked there, that she could also get us tickets at a discounted rate as well as a hotel. We did mention to her that it was my daughter's birthday coming up in January, so we wanted to take her.
Slower.
Sorry. So we wanted to take her, so we thought about it for a little bit.
When was this?
This was in November. Discussed it. She, gained our trust. Again, we have mutual friends. It's not someone we just...
Don't go. Just give me the facts, ma'am.
So the facts, she told us it was the $300. Up front, we had to pay her $300 for her to reserve the hotel room. So that's when we went ahead and gave her $300 cash. So following the $300, it was a remaining balance of $200 the day of. And that was in December, the beginning of December. Exact date for you. I'm sorry.
Just a minute. So eventually you gave her, for this, $500.
Yes. No, so it was $300. The day of, we were supposed to give her the remaining $200, but that never happened. We were never taken to Disneyland. It was canceled. We did not go to Disneyland.
Well, who canceled it?
We did, because initially, the first date that she was giving us to go, she had an excuse where we didn't go. So for the first date she gave us, it was an excuse that the park was busy. She started talking about this coronavirus that's going on. So
you're missing me, and you're talking too fast. So you gave her the $300.
Correct.
And you made a date with her to go.
Correct.
She was going to be there because she works there.
Correct.
She canceled that date, or you canceled that date?
The initial date.
The first date?
Yes.
Who canceled it?
She did.
And what date was that?
So she gave us a reservation for it to be the 8th and the 9th of January for us to go to Disneyland.
All right, so you gave her $300.
We gave her $300, yes.
And you were about to go. On what date did she tell you that it was canceled?
So she took the initiative because my husband...
No, look at me and talk slower.
I'm sorry. So she had took the initiative to cancel it because my husband got sick.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
So you canceled it?
No.
Well, if your husband got sick, then he couldn't go.
Yeah, but she took the initiative to cancel. She said I had already canceled. So she was rescheduling for us to go again.
You may be right.
Yes.
But don't avoid answering truthfully.
No, ma'am.
He was sick.
Correct.
So you stop playing with your paper. He was sick so that you couldn't go on the 8th and 9th of January. Were you sick?
Yeah.
What was wrong with you?
I had the flu. But I want to go because I want to take my kids.
We were
and then
still
she
going.
canceled
Just a second. What? You had the flu and you were going to go?
So it's my daughter's birthday.
Well, that's pretty selfish of you.
No,
and stupid.
It's my daughter's birthday. I want to take my
And
daughter.
that was pretty selfish and stupid. If you have the flu, to go to Disneyland with a whole bunch of other people to give a whole bunch of other people the flu. You canceled the 8th and 9th. Did you reschedule?
We had rescheduled, but she never gave us a date. She was going to check the availability.
And what happened?
That's when, after Disneyland, she tells us that she was coming into a settlement for
The 7th.
No, ma'am.
When did you cancel it?
We didn't cancel. She canceled.
No, you canceled. You may say she canceled. Your husband had the flu. He couldn't go to Disneyland. On what date did you let her know that you had the flu? Sir, on
She
what
came to the house that day when I was sick.
What day?
I don't remember exactly the date, but that was like 2 days before we were supposed to go to Disneyland. And then we were supposed to reschedule the date to go again. And that's when she came with that she got a settlement for $25 million. And that's when she told me I needed more money to pay my rent, if I know anybody.
Now tell me about the next alleged scam.
Yes. So following that, we became a friendship with her. We've gone out to eat multiple times. She had mentioned that she was going to get kicked out of her apartment, that she did not have funds due to her getting a settlement, that she was wrongfully diagnosed by a doctor, causing her to get multiple treatments, and they were rewarding her with $25 million. She said due to the IRS auditing her, her assets were frozen, so she had no money. Us as parents, we did feel bad for her because we even met her son, and she did not have $1,500 to pay for her rent.
Well, she's working at Disney.
Apparently, she had said that all her assets were frozen, so she wouldn't have access to her money. So since she was getting direct deposit, she did not have access to get any money from the bank. So that's when she inquired that if we know anybody who could lend her $1,500 and she would reimburse them double that. doubling the $1,500. We went to bed. I said, let's lend her the money.
On what date did you do that?
We lent her the money in November as well, the end of November. She was paying her rent for December of $1,500.
Let's leave the hotel room aside for the moment.
Okay.
Did the plaintiffs give you $1,500?
They did.
For what?
To help me with my rent. It was never a conversation with Jasmine. It was always conversations with Jose. And he said that he's been in tough situations, that he had spoke to his wife, that he would help me out.
Good. Did you pay him back?
No.
You owe him $1,500 so far. You still work at Disney?
I do.
Your bank's still frozen?
No. But with the Disney, can I say my side of the story? I suggested when he became sick with the flu not to go to Disneyland because he would not enjoy himself, because he would be grouchy. And so I offered him another date to go, which was in a text message, January 29th through the 31st. So I offered them another date to go, and they accepted that date. And then they turned around and canceled thereafter that she wasn't getting her unemployment check, her disability check, and she was not going to be able to go. These were non-refundable tickets.
Can I see that text, please? Notice how I sort of glossed over this $300 for Disney, because if you cancel a day before, usually, if you put down a deposit, they take your full deposit.
Right, but he was sick, and I...
So she offered you an alternative date?
Yes. And due to me not getting my check from EDD, I never agreed. If you see, there's never a text me saying, yes, we'll take that date.
I don't care. You canceled the first time. She managed to get you a second time. Let's go. Let's move on. So far, she owes you $1,500 for her rent. What's next?
After that, when she had said that she came into a settlement, she had mentioned to us that she had an abusive boyfriend that became her ex-boyfriend. She had mentioned that she bought him a Tesla. And during the time that she had told us that she had a settlement of $25 million, she wanted to buy a bar. She wanted to buy a bar, and she wanted to go in business with us. And moving forward, prior to the bar, she had told us that she had came into the $25 million settlement.
You already said that 5 times.
I'm sorry. It's just a whole lot that happened. There's so much in between.
So far, she owes you $1,500.
$1,500, correct. After Disneyland, when she had told us about $25 million, we had asked her to, my husband had asked her to let us borrow $20,000 for a home. We were in the middle of trying to purchase a home. She said, no, why don't I just buy it for you guys? Buy it, and you guys pay me, since she's getting that settlement.
So now your husband is asking her for $20,000.
Yes, this is when we still thought Disneyland was real. Yeah.
So now your husband is asking her, who he's just lent $1,500, because now you see, for a house.
For a home, correct.
And she said?
She said, that's when she had stated, that she'll purchase it and we would pay her back. That she could purchase it cash and we would pay her back. We got in contact with our realtor, and that's when we went house shopping. We went looking at homes for us. We went looking at homes for her. We were everywhere you could think of looking for homes. We actually opened escrow on a home. I have the purchase agreement here, as well as a cancellation.
Keep going.
We went into escrow with the home. That's when we started asking her for all her bank statements. You need W-2, all the proof that you need to show that where the money's coming from. She had excuses left and right that her attorney...
Did you give her any money for this home?
No, ma'am.
So what do I have to know about it for?
Following that, so it's because it's one of the incidents with her, that's where we were back and forth with her with the whole home. I have proof of that as far as...
Just a second. You didn't give her any money?
No, I didn't give her any money for that.
So let's move on.
Okay, so then that's where it comes to the car. Where you see the $500 garage fee, she has stated that she had bought her ex-boyfriend a Tesla. She asked us, since we were going to be business partners, if we wanted the vehicle for $500.
A new Tesla?
A new Tesla, that she had already gave a down payment, and that all we had to pay was a $500 garage fee. Yes. I know. Oh, she sent us photos. She sent us invoices. We went to the Tesla dealer. We test drive the car. I mean, we went with our whole family. We're a family of 5 with the 3 little ones.
What kind of ridiculousness do you think that you can buy a $100,000 car for $500?
So she sent us an invoice that said the vehicle was going to be $64,000, that she had already gave a down payment, but since her ex-boyfriend was abusive and cheated on her with her cousin...
I don't care.
She didn't want to give it to him, so that's why she wasn't giving it to him. Now she was willing to give it to us for a $500 garage fee since her assets were frozen.
Just a second. $500 garage fee, and who was supposed to pay out the $64,000?
She had already given a down payment on the car.
How much?
She had said she had given $3,500.
Who was supposed to pay the rest?
She was.
So far, she owes you $1,500.
I have...
That's all. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I can't even take you seriously.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We were fools for believing her.
Well, then, no, you were more than fools.
But we...
No, you were more than fools.
She came around our kids.
You were more than fools. You thought you were getting something for nothing.
And later today...
If the bills were in storage that you say she took and destroyed or she got rid of, then all you have to do is call up the company and say, I lost all my bills. Can you send me a copy? Where did you think you were coming today? To the beach?
Jasmine and Jose Acosta claim former friend Ramona Segura defrauded them on several accounts.
Now, so far, show me proof that you gave her $1,500.
Here you go.
Okay.
Ma'am, can I show you what I have for the Tesla? She did send us information for it.
No. I'm going to tell you why. Because you have to know that either you're getting conned or somebody is stealing something when you're going to get a $60,000 car for $500. It's like going up to somebody and say, you want to buy my Rolex? I need money right now. I have to go buy a bowl of soup and a bagel. So I'm going to sell you my Rolex, which is a $25,000 watch, for $50. And then you say, oh, yeah. That Rolex probably stolen, but if I could buy it for $50, why not? You think that the courts are going to help you?
I understand that we were fools for believing her.
Well, then, no, you were more than fools.
But we...
No, you were more than fools.
She came around our kids.
You were more than fools. You thought you were getting something for nothing. See, the rent is a whole different thing. She said she needed rent. Bank accounts were frozen, whatever it is. She may have felt that you were giving her money, and that money was going... in your head was going to her rent. You said, I'm a mother of 3. I realized that. She has a son. But with regard to the car, you thought you were getting something for nothing because somebody was going to get scammed. You weren't signing your name as owners of the car, responsible for the loan.
She said that she was putting it under our name.
Let's say I believe you that she said, I put down $3,500. Well, that's still $61,000. Who was supposed to pay the $61,000?
She said she was.
Yeah. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. We're done. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused and they step out.
The accusations were false against me.
She's a liar. She knows what she's doing. She's a con artist.
I didn't owe him anything.
Now I can't trust people.
Jealous wife. She couldn't handle the fact that her husband and I became really good friends.
We're not friends. I'll tell you, we're not friends.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Patterson versus Williams. Step forward.
Donna Patterson is suing her former tenant, Glenda Williams, for rent, a car, the cost of a storage unit, and emotional distress.
All right, so let me understand this, Miss Patterson. You owned a house.
Yes.
Was there one house on the property or two?
There was a mobile home and then a tiny house.
And were you there? You rented to people?
Yes.
At some point, the property went into foreclosure.
Yes.
Had you owned the property for a long time?
A year.
Did you inherit the property or did you buy it?
I acquired it.
From whom?
A former friend and neighbor who no longer had any funds, so she said if I take it over.
How much did you pay for it?
I didn't. She quitclaimed it to me.
Just a second. So you didn't pay for this property that had a house and a trailer on it?
Correct.
However, that property had taxes on it that you didn't pay?
Correct.
So your friend gave you the property for nothing. You didn't pay the taxes on it, and you rented, let me get this clear, because now it's becoming clear to me. You rented the house and or the trailer, one of them, to the defendant.
She actually rented a room in the house.
How many people did you have renting in the house?
5.
So now let's understand this. So you got this property for nothing, you didn't pay the taxes on it, and you were renting to 5 people who lived in the house. They paid you rent.
Yes.
At some point, all the electricity was cut off in the house and the trailer. So the whole place was being run by generator, but you lived someplace else.
Correct.
Now, where you lived, did you have lights?
Yes.
Air conditioning?
No.
Heat?
No.
Live in?
I lived in a home, a regular house, but the air conditioning and heating had broke, so I didn't have it for 3 years.
All sounds like a whole lot of problems to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You want to come back here when you have all the paperwork? I'll be more than happy to let you go outside. Now you have the name of the company. Call them up. Fax it here, and you can come back tomorrow. You want to do that? Yes or no?
No.
Of course not. Okay.
Real cases, real people, Judge Judy.
Donna Peterson says former tenant Glenda Williams is a squatter. Glenda's countersuing for the cost of a generator.
Okay. In any event, what you say is that she became a squatter and didn't pay you rent.
Correct.
In a house that had been foreclosed that you weren't paying on.
I didn't know it was foreclosed in the beginning.
Who cares? I don't care. You weren't paying a penny.
I was paying another company to keep it out of foreclosure so their rent could go towards getting it out of foreclosure.
Let me see what you were paying another company to keep it out of foreclosure.
I only have the name of the company.
I don't care.
Because it was in storage that she stole.
Name of the company doesn't help me. So far, we're in a totally unsympathetic position. It's not as if you rented to the defendant in a house that you were maintaining, that you paid. She was living there squatting on this property and didn't pay you rent from August until May, even though it was run on a generator.
But that's not correct. I'm sorry, it's not correct.
She
had all the other utilities.
You said to me, somebody gave you the house last year. Didn't you tell that to me? Or was it 2 years ago that they gave you the house?
I'm sorry, it was 2 years ago. If I said one, I'm sorry.
Well, you're an adult woman. You live in a house. Then you know on a house, on property, there are taxes that have to be paid. So it's not 1 year you didn't pay the taxes. You didn't pay the taxes for 2 years.
No, I didn't. I didn't pay the taxes.
Then you were a squatter on that property, too.
No, Your Honor. I still paid all the other bills. I paid $750 every month to keep it out of foreclosure for 2 years.
Just a second. Show me.
My receipt was in storage, which is another part of the case.
Just a second. It's not another part of the case, madam. Let me tell you this. There is zero sympathy, because if you were paying $750 a month to keep the house out of foreclosure, A, you weren't successful, and B, if the bills were in storage that you say she took and destroyed or she got rid of, then all you have to do is call up the company and say, I lost all my bills. Can you send me a copy? Where did you think you were coming today? To the beach?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by
JudgeJudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. If you paid $750 a month to a company and you didn't have the bills, that company will give you the $750 receipts as copies. If it's only over 2 years, we're not talking about 10 years ago.
But I just barely found the paperwork that shows the name of the company.
Oh, fine. Then you want to come back here when you have all the paperwork? I'll be more than happy to let you go outside. Now you have the name of the company, call them up, fax it here. You can come back tomorrow. You want to do that? No. Yes or no?
No.
Of course not. Okay. Now, you have equally as ridiculous a lawsuit. You know, you say that she used your generator to fire up the house and to keep the basic necessities going, and because it was used so often, your generator, that it blew. That's your counterclaim?
Yes.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
No, it's not.
We're done.
Your Honor, there's a whole lot more to this.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You moved in with your grandfather.
A young woman runs into trouble.
He punched you?
He did, and that's when the chokehold happened. He's on parole for first-degree murder.
Next Judge Judy.
Over with.
I paid for the generator to be fixed.
She illegally hooked up the electricity.
I paid $300 to fix it.
Did a trench underground. I'm just so glad it's over.
Never again.
I am glad this matter is over with, and I'd like to thank Judge Judy for having me on her show.
Why did you leave your mother's?
I ran away after she sent me to jail.
She didn't send you. The police took you to jail.
A young woman runs into trouble.
So you moved in with your grandfather.
Or does it run in the family?
He punched you?
And that's when the chokehold happened.
I wouldn't call it a chokehold. I grabbed him.
He's on parole for first-degree murder.
This is Judge Judy.
23-year-old Cassandra Courier is suing her grandfather, Michael Walker, for an illegal eviction, a false restraining order, and physical abuse.
Order. All rise. It's case number 432 on the calendar in the matter of Courier versus Walker.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Courier, how old are you?
23.
What do you do for a living?
I'm unemployed at the moment.
Prior to moving in with your grandfather, who were you to that? Where were you living?
My grandfather.
Prior to living with your mother, you were living with your grandfather.
Correct.
And then you moved back with your grandfather.
Correct.
In what month did you move into your mother's?
May 17th, 2019.
And why did you leave your mother's?
I ran away after she sent me to jail.
She sent you to jail for... She didn't send you. The police took you to jail.
False accusations of domestic violence.
She made an allegation against you of domestic violence.
Correct.
Now, prior to living with your mother, you say you were living with your grandfather.
Correct.
Where were you living with your grandfather?
Tustin, California.
And why did you leave to go to your mother's house?
There was issues within the household between all of us, or betwixt all of us.
Well, not all of you. There was you and your grandfather. Who else?
And my mother. She moved in. She lost her house.
But then she moved out and you moved with her.
Correct.
And then you moved back with your grandfather.
Correct.
After your mother had you arrested, and you stayed with him until when?
From July 7th to July 19th.
Of 2019.
Correct.
You're suing him for an illegal eviction. Is that the eviction that you're talking about in July of 2019?
No, ma'am.
What eviction?
The eviction that took place on December 20th.
So you moved in with your grandfather just for a short period of time.
In between
and where did you go?
In between that time, we moved on July 24th to a house in 29 Palms.
Who was working?
No one.
Who was paying the rent?
My grandfather.
Okay.
We bought a house with the VA loan.
And you moved in together then on 7/24, so you moved in with your grandfather. Were you paying any of the expenses?
Yes.
What expenses?
Cell phone, car
that's
payment.
your cell phone.
My cell phone, correct, but on his
good for
account.
you. What else?
Not true, Your
What house expenses were you paying?
None.
None. Okay, so you were a guest in his house. Look at me. So you were a guest in your grandfather's house.
Incorrect.
Like if I invited one of my grandchildren to come and move in.
The only...
just a second. One of my grandkids said to me, "Can I come and stay with you, Nana?" And I said, "Sure." And then they got sassy or nasty or did something I didn't like, and I said, "Pack up and go." You think that that's an illegal eviction?
No, he can only have me living with him. He's on parole for first-degree murder.
Just a second. I didn't ask you that. I know that you wanted to get that in there. But what I'm asking you is, you lived there, you weren't working, and you were paying no expenses. So you were living as a guest in your grandfather's house.
Correct.
Well, then he can't illegally evict you.
The only reason he can live in this house is because of me.
Well, I don't care. The law doesn't care. You may care, but the law doesn't care. You're a guest in his house. He's paying the expenses on the house. You're living with him, and if something happens, and he said to you, "I don't want you to live here anymore. Goodbye, pack up and leave," that's what you have to do. You're a guest, and if a parole board wants to come after him for that, that's their prerogative. That has nothing to do with you. Where did you move to in December when you had this kerfuffle with your grandfather?
My car.
When was the last time you had a real job?
May 17th.
When you were living with your mother?
Yes and no. That was the last day that I left from my job. It was Robert Half International. I was working there for March to May.
For 3 months?
Correct. Before that, I was a general manager for 2 years, House of Pokey.
Well, why don't you have a job now?
It's been difficult as far as living in my car for the longest time. I did have a job. I signed paperwork, submitted it. I was under the impression that I was going to be getting paid $3,000 a month for a shipping and receiving clerk. And when it came to February 14th, I was supposed to receive my first check. Didn't hear back from anybody.
Just a minute, a shipping and receiving of what?
Clerk.
Did you work for somebody?
I did.
And you worked for them and you didn't get paid?
No.
In February?
No one's responded.
Who is this?
This is Christopher.
No, you don't have to get up. Who is he?
A friend. He's allowing me to stay at his house.
Where?
Pomona.
Okay, so you're not living in your car anymore?
Not since December 27th.
Oh, well, that's great. Nice of you.
Ma'am.
So you're staying with him?
Correct.
And looking for work?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. The last part of your lawsuit, because he doesn't owe you for an illegal eviction, he filed a restraining order to keep you out of the house because you evidently didn't want to leave. You have a punitive damage for physical abuse. You want to tell me about that?
Yes. So it started on November 17th of 2019.
November 17th.
Yes.
2019.
Yeah, around 9 a.m.
And what happened?
There was an altercation that had occurred betwixt my grandfather and I, resulting in him putting me in a chokehold and putting his hands on me, physically abusing me.
No, that's two different things. Putting you in a chokehold, and you made a punching motion. Now, is that what he did? He punched you?
He did.
Do you have any photographs of injuries?
I do not.
Okay. And what was the argument about?
Over me touching the electrical box.
Explain it.
The house that we had bought was...
No, you didn't buy it together. He bought it. You had no money. You had no job. You got a VA loan. And the fact that he may need someone to live with him right now, he's here and nobody's taking him into custody because you're not living with him, okay? So I want you to get that windshield wiper that out of your head. What do you mean touching the electrical box?
I was trying to figure out why our well pump wasn't working or why our refrigerator wasn't receiving water to produce ice.
And?
As well as filtered water to the sink, and I have a video of that.
And?
It resulted in me taking a loose wire from the floor. When I picked it up, it sparked, so the next move I made was went to the electrical box to turn off the power, thus not getting a spark anymore. He was upset at the fact that I'm not an electrician, so I should mind my own business in that department.
Okay, so he said to you, don't do that. Don't touch anything that you don't know anything about. You're not an electrician. And what did you say to him?
I didn't say anything, and that was an issue to him, that I wasn't responding.
Go ahead.
So I went to, when I turned around, he blocked my path, so I couldn't exit out the front door.
And?
I went underneath his arm to escape, and that's when the chokehold happened.
You want to tell me your version of that event on the 17th, sir?
Yes, you're working on the tractor. I heard an electrical explosion, and I heard her say, "Oh!" I came out from under the tractor. I thought she'd been electrocuted. And she was standing near the well pump, and there was evidence of a large spark. She had tried to attach a 240-volt wire to ground. I said, "What are you doing?" And she says, "I'm trying to find out why we're not getting any water." We were getting water, Your Honor. She was confused. So she went in. She said, "Which one of these breakers turns off the pump?" I said, "Leave it alone. It's none of your business. It has nothing to do with you. Leave the pump alone."
Incorrect. I didn't ask him.
Don't speak. He didn't interrupt you. Go ahead.
So she went to the electrical box, and she turned a breaker off that said pump on it. It's the wrong pump, not the pump that she was messing with. And then she started heading back out to the pump. And I did stand in her way, and I was not going to let her go back out to the pump, and she charged me. And she went under me and knocked me backwards out the door. If I had not grabbed onto her, I would have landed on my back on the rock walkway. And I wouldn't call it a chokehold. I grabbed her.
Did you punch her?
No, I did not.
I don't believe that either. When's the next incident of assault?
Okay, I also have November 15th.
And what happened on?
And what I'm referring to is a dog that that was under our care for Rover.com. It's a dog sitting business. He overdosed her for 3 counts. Instead of giving her 3 cc's of insulin, he gave her 30. And unfortunately, she had multiple seizures and died.
What does that have to do with you?
Well, that's a part of abuse.
Next.
November 8th, I ended up calling the police on my grandfather.
Tell me what happened.
Correction, December 12th.
Go ahead.
So my grandfather had, the first event was he called the police department and filed a false accusation that I had stolen a cell phone worth $1,000 of his. So when I arrived back from the Sprint store that day, he held out his phone to me, and there was an officer that stated he was going to be arresting me on a felony charge for this cell phone. The reason how this cell phone came into play was the altercation betwixt my grandfather and I, of him laying his hands on me. Later that night, I threatened to call his parole officer because of this abuse.
Well, just a second. You gave me 2 instances that happened November 15th that happened with a dog. It had nothing to do with you. Then you told me about November 17th. You were touching his property, and he grabbed hold of you. Did not punch you. You don't have any evidence of that. So you're still living in the same house.
Correct.
Right? So now we're talking about almost a month later.
Yes. That next incident was the cell phone.
And you were living in his house for that month.
Correct.
Next.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Finding a job for an able-bodied 23-year-old person is not so difficult. There are help wanted signs all over for all kinds of positions. You may not love them, but they're a place to start.
And later today,
Tell me what happened.
It was after 11 o'clock at that time. It was closer to 12.
Well, actually, you say it was about 9.
No, it was just late.
You said it was about, I'm reading your answer.
Cassandra Courier says her grandfather, Michael Walker, evicted her by way of a false restraining order. She also claims her grandfather physically abused her.
Okay. Miss Courier, I'm going to suggest that you're a young woman, you're 23 years old, you're unemployed. I'm going to suggest to you that you have somebody who appears to be a nice person. He's letting you finding a particular job isn't always easy. But finding a job for an able-bodied 23-year-old person is not so difficult. There are help wanted signs all over for all kinds of positions. You may not love them, but they're a place to start. Do you work?
Not currently right now, ma'am. I'm going to school.
And who takes care of you?
I'm at my parents' house currently.
So she's living with you in your parents' house?
That's correct, ma'am.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much. I've had enough of this case. Thank you. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I feel threatened for my life.
I didn't owe my granddaughter anything. I was trying to help her.
The physical abuse of living with somebody who did 30 years.
She ran up $14,000 on my credit cards. I had to take my credit cards away from her.
I want to live my life.
I still love her.
and now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Rogers versus Robinson. Step forward.
Sean Rogers Sr. is suing his ex-girlfriend, Carla Robinson, for hospital bills and lost wages after he broke his foot when she maliciously knocked him down the stairs.
Mr. Rogers, the defendant and you had a relationship for a period of time. That didn't work out. While you were involved in this relationship, you had some property at her house, clothes and other things.
At her house.
So you had things there.
Yeah.
And it is your allegation that when you went to retrieve some of that property, there was an altercation which resulted in you having a broken foot.
Yes.
And that Miss Robinson is responsible for that.
Yes.
So I see your foot is in a boot.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me when this happened.
This happened, it was like 1st of November.
So what happened on November 1st?
Well, I called her. I wanted to pick up some items from her house, so...
What items?
House shoes, clothing, toothbrush.
What time did you call her?
It was approximately around 8:30 p.m.
Did you speak to her?
Yes. I spoke with her on the telephone, telling her I was on my way.
You told her you were on your way, you
Yes.
didn't ask. So far, is that correct that he called and said,
No,
"I'm
that's
on
not
my
exactly
way"?
what happened, no.
Well, tell me what happened.
Okay. Mr. Rogers have a very bad habit of...
Don't tell me what has
It was
happened.
after 11 o'clock at that time. It was closer to 12, actually.
Hold on a second. Well, actually, you say it was about 9.
No, it was just late.
You said it was about, I'm reading your answer.
Oh, okay, because he comes by really late at night.
What I'm telling you was,
Okay.
that's what you said in your answer.
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection that it wasn't midnight?
It seemed like it was a lot later, but that's what I said. At that time, I didn't want to open the door, not without somebody being an attendant or something like that. So I offered to call my sister to be there, but he didn't want that. So I never opened the door for Mr. Rogers. I let him ramp and rave outside. So at this point in time, I did not want to let Mr. Rogers in, which he intentionally gets mad and takes the mailbox off my house and threw it, and then threw some garbage cans and some other stuff. So when I heard him do the scene that I call it outside, I didn't open the door or entertain it. I didn't know until the next day. I didn't know until the next day that he's supposedly hurt his leg.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you have a broken foot...
At first, when it broke, I'm thinking it's like severe sprain. I'm like that manly man.
I want to know when you went to the doctor.
I went the second, and they told me that my
Don't tell
insurance
me what
wasn't
they
gonna go
told
through.
you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Sean Rogers Sr. is suing his ex-girlfriend, Carla Robinson, for hospital bills and lost wages after he broke his foot when she maliciously knocked him down the stairs.
Now, why didn't you just give him his things?
because prior to this, Mr. Rogers, once before, and this time, maybe that's why I got this mixed up, Your Honor, is because then it was 11 to 12 o'clock at night to come get a saw, and it was about 12 o'clock at that time at night, and I explained to them I wasn't going to open my door, and after speaking with Mr. Rogers, they saw why I would not open my door, and then I proceeded to get him his saw at that point in time, but he likes to wait till these...
With the police officer?
Yes.
But you had other things that were in the house, clothes, shoes.
Right, and at that time, I could not locate it, everything that they were looking for, because I would wash these things and hand them to them.
Who's they?
The officers, because they stood at the door for me while I get those things. The second time, I just didn't open the door at all.
So the second time, which is on November 1st, when he came to the house, you didn't open the door at all?
No, Your Honor. I opened the chasing door. It's like a storm.
Who did you go there with?
A friend of mine drove me around there.
A friend drove you there?
Yeah.
Where is he?
He couldn't make it because of work.
What do you do for working, Mr. Rogers?
Well, I'm a direct salesman. I walk through the city selling socks, T-shirts, boxers. I have a large clientele of people. Everybody know me in the metro area.
What metro area?
Milwaukee. And I distribute to everybody.
You sell things on the street?
Yes, directly.
Okay. Now, I'd like to see your medical records, sir.
This is what I have because...
no, I'd like to see your medical records. That's what... Sir, I don't see that you went to the doctor's office or a hospital either November 1st, November 2nd, November 3rd, November 4th, November 5th, November 6th, November 7th, November 8th, November 9th, November 10th, November 11th, November 12th, November 13th, November 14th, November 15th, November 16th.
There's an explanation for that, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Go ahead.
When I went on the 2nd, my United Care health insurance had elapsed, so I just come out of Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which was...
Sir, I can't help you without medical records. I can't help you with that. I have to see a doctor who saw you either that day or the next day or the next day. If you have a broken foot, you have a doctor who sees you, who was reported, it's not helping you.
Judge Judy, okay, at first when it broke, I'm thinking it's like...
Went to the doctor.
I went the 2nd, and when I went the 2nd, they told me that my insurance wasn't going to go through.
Don't tell me what they told you.
Right, and so I went later.
What date later?
I went on the 19th.
Goodbye, Mr. Rogers. We're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
She totally caught me off guard, just started punching me. She had pushed me down.
How did her nose get broken, Miss Reyes? You did, in fact, punch her.
Next, Judge Judy.
My foot is broke. It didn't get broken any other time after the fact.
I always knew that she was going to see through it.
I went backwards after handing me my stuff, and all my weight landed on my foot.
I did hear something outside, but that's what he does. He's an actor.
She's just got a feisty way when she's upset.
Don't come knocking.
Caught up in her friend's marriage issues.
Raul's saying Carrie's on drugs, and Carrie's saying Raul's on drugs. They're going back and forth with each other. And I go, here, I have a drug test.
Did her suggestion hit a nerve?
She totally caught me off guard, started wailing on me, just started punching me. She had pushed...
Nose get broken, Miss Reyes. You did, in fact, punch her.
This is Judge Judy. Kimberly Richter is suing her former friend, Carrie Reyes, for breaking her nose during an argument at Kimberly's home.
Judge, this is case number 7 on the calendar in the matter of Richter versus Reyes. Parties have been sworn in.
Miss Richter, I understand that you and your husband and the defendant and her husband had been friends.
Correct.
And prior to November of 2019, how long had you known each other?
I've known Miss Reyes for about 15 years.
On November 25th, you and your husband, the defendant and her husband, were spending an evening together at whose home?
My house.
Who else was present?
It was Carrie, myself, my 2 daughters, my husband, Mark, and later that evening, Raul, her boyfriend, husband, showed up.
Had you had dinner?
No, we were just hanging out by the pool. We were having a few glasses of wine, having a good night.
Had all of you been drinking?
Yes, the adults.
Except, of course, the children.
Of course.
I see you. Put your hand down. It is your claim that on that evening, an altercation ensued with you and Miss Reyes. And as a result of that, your nose was broken.
Yes.
You want her to be responsible for not only the medical bills, but for the pain and suffering. Miss Reyes, in her answer, while she acknowledges, I believe, Miss Reyes, that you did, in fact, punch her, you indicated that it was a result of her aggression and you were acting in self-defense.
Correct, Your
Honor.
Honor.
Have that right?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Miss Reyes, you put your hand up before when Miss Richter was telling me that the group of you had been drinking. I'm not talking about getting sloppy drunk. I'm talking about that you had been having wine and hanging out at the pool for several hours before your husband arrived. That be accurate?
No, Your Honor.
How long had you been there before your husband arrived?
I would say about an hour and a half.
At what time did you arrive?
Late afternoon, I would say, around 4 or 5 p.m. And my husband arrived around, I would say, 6:37.
Okay. And prior to your husband arriving, there were no incidents. Is that right?
No, Your Honor, everything was
Good.
fine.
Miss Richter, approximately what time in the evening did this assault take place?
7:30, 7:45. It was just before the sunset.
All right, now in your own words, I'd like you to tell me what happened.
Carrie and I, we were having a few drinks, and we were discussing throughout the day how she believes her husband, boyfriend, is cheating on her, and she thinks he's doing drugs. And I'm like, well, Carrie, you know, where's your proof? She didn't have any proof, but she was always coming to my house. I think Raul's cheating on him. There's needles missing. There was a needle there the other day. She would come over with these weird accusations.
What do you mean that there were needles? Stop.
Sure.
What do you mean when you said there were needles missing?
She told me that he was using steroids or something to boost his, whatever you use steroids for.
Muscles or whatever.
So I think that was why.
Your manliness, I guess. I don't know.
It's been a while.
Okay. So you were having discussions with her about personal matters before he arrived.
Prior to him arriving, yes.
And he arrived at about 6 o'clock. And this incident happened, according to you, about 7:45. So he was there for a little bit before it happened.
Correct.
All right. Keep going.
So we moved to the garage because Raul showed up and my husband was in the garage. Well, Raul showed up and my husband offered him a beer, so him and Raul were in the garage having a few beers while me and Carrie were out back. Well, we kind of wandered around to the garage area, and for whatever reason, my husband got up. I guess he was going in the house to watch TV or something. Well, it was me, Carrie, and Raul that were left in the garage. Raul had a beer. Carrie and I, you know, we were out there having a cigarette, talking with Raul, and the discussion of Raul being on drugs came up. So we started talking about it. I'm like, well, you know, I have a solution for this problem.
Who broached?
That Carrie and I were talking about this.
It wasn't even a year ago. It was 10 months ago. How many times have you had your nose broken?
Once in my life.
Okay. So I would remember that, even though it was 10 months ago.
Well,
remember what happened.
the exact context of why that got brought up, I don't clearly remember that, but I can tell you what followed.
Okay. Tell me what followed.
We had the discussion about Raul doing drugs, and Raul clearly stated, I'm not on drugs. And then I said, you know what, guys? I got up. I walked in my house. I came back out. I had a drug test. I have a 14-panel drug test that I purchased because my husband has employees, and we just use it to kind of, you know, keep them straight and scare them a little bit. You know, we're going to give you a drug test if we think anything's going on in the job. So I had this 14-panel drug test, and I go, here, I have a drug test. And Raul's saying Carrie's on drugs, and Carrie's saying Raul's on drugs. They're going back and forth with each other. And I'm like, well, here's a solution, Carrie. Here's a drug test. And I kind of, after this point, you know, after looking at Raul and looking at Carrie and all the things that she's done and said coming to my house prior to these events with her paranoia and all that, kind of had the inclination that she might be doing something. So I suggested she take the drug test. She did not tell me yes. She did not tell me no. I was asking Carrie to take the drug test because I was kind of under the assumption that Raul wasn't really on drugs. And he was offering to take it. I'll take the drug test. I'll take it. And I'm like, no, Raul, I want Carrie.
Got it.
So I said, no, Raul, I would like Carrie to take the drug test. I never got a yes out of Carrie. I never got a no out of Carrie. And so this went on for a few minutes, and I kind of got tired of it because it wasn't going anywhere. And I didn't want Raul to take the test because it would have been a waste. I didn't think he was on drugs. So I walked in my home, and Carrie comes in following me. And all I remember, she got me from behind. She totally caught me off guard. and started wailing on me, just started punching me, didn't say anything. I'm screaming at her to get out of my house at this point because there's absolutely no reason for you to follow me into my home and start hitting me. And at some point, she picked up my candle holder, which was on my coffee table in the front living room, and broke it over my head. And I'm still screaming at her to get out of my house. My kids are like at the staircase. They see the whole thing. Or my oldest did. I'm bleeding, and I'm telling my youngest, because she's coming down the stairs, go get me a tissue, go get me a napkin, something so I can stop, this.
You were bleeding from your nose or from your head?
I was bleeding from my nose.
Okay. And at that point, had you been hit in your nose?
Yes.
Did she finally leave?
My oldest daughter came up and grabbed her hand and told her, Carrie, you need to leave, because I kept screaming at her that she needs to leave. Get out of my house.
Did she?
When my daughter grabbed her hand and told her to leave, yes, she did, finally.
Did you call the police that night?
I did call the police later that evening.
Did you go to the hospital?
Concerned about me not having health insurance.
Don't tell me why. When did you go to either the doctor or the hospital?
The following morning.
Okay. So now I'd like to see the police report.
Sure. Not hard to read. It's a carbon copy.
Okay, let's take a look. Okay. And do you have the medical report indicating that you went to was it an emergency room that you went to?
Yes, I went to the ER.
Okay. May I see that report, please?
Sure. It's 8 pages. Here's the first page.
I'd like to see the one with the diagnosis.
Sure. Right here?
Okay. Got it. Thank you very much. Okay. Ms. Reyes.
Yes, Your
Your
Honor.
version. We're about 7:45 at night. On November 25th, your husband had arrived at about 6, according to you. You had had a lovely afternoon chatting with your friend. Husband arrives. He's in the garage with the plaintiff's husband. You gals sort of find your way to the garage. Pick it up from there.
From that point, her husband had gone inside, laid down on the couch. The three of us were out in the garage, and the conversation came up, like she said, about drugs. It then evolved into, well, why are you guys fighting? It seems so ridiculous. Why don't you guys just have I said, because I don't want to have sex with him. And she, in turn, turned around and said, well, if you're not going to, I'll have sex with him. So I got upset. She saw that I was upset and she started laughing. She said, I'm just kidding. Kim has a history of alcoholism. She's...
Don't tell me history. Don't tell me history. Just tell me what happened.
Okay.
So that's what she said to you.
Correct.
And she laughed. You
Correct,
didn't think
Your
it was fun. Come on.
So I went
story.
inside the house. Raul and her were still out in the garage. I went up to her husband, lying on the couch, and I explained to him what had happened.
No. Just tell me what you said to him.
I told him, I said, Kim...
You said, did you tell him what you just told me?
Correct, Your Honor.
And then?
And then from that point, he stood up and he said, I'm going to go see what's going on. I said, let it be, let them come in.
No.
So they came inside and Mark turned to Raul and said, Raul, is that true what Carrie just told me? Raul said, yes. Yes, Mark, that's true. That's when Kim got upset. She said, get out of my house. I ride horses. I was wearing only my socks. My horse boots, my cowboy boots were outside in her backyard. So I said, okay, I'll leave. So I went to proceed to go outside. Pushed me. I slipped on the tile that she has in her house. And when I went to stand up, she pulled me by my hair.
You were inside or outside when I pushed you?
Don't.
Sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When she pushed you down, did you end up on your face or on your back?
On my knees. She was in front of me and she pushed me forward.
And then you fell on your knees? That doesn't make sense to me, Miss Reyes.
Kimberly Richter says former friend Carrie Reyes attacked her and broke her nose after she asked Carrie to take a drug test.
All right, keep going.
I have pictures, which I also sent to the detective that was assigned to the case or the report that she had made.
Okay, the police came to your house.
The police never came to my house.
Or did you go to...
No.
Well, you spoke to a detective. Was that on the phone?
Yes, so I received a letter in the mail saying that there was a report of an alleged incident that occurred on November 25th for me to contact.
Okay, and when did you receive that letter?
I would say about 2 weeks after the incident.
Between November 25th, when this incident happened, and the time you received the letter, had you seen
Your
you'd been to an emergency room?
No, Your Honor.
And had you made a police report?
No, Your Honor.
So now she pushed you and you fell.
Correct. And then she grabbed me by my hair. I have photocopies of my hair being ripped out.
And when did you take that photograph?
The same day. And that was sent to the detective. And I also brought copies if you'd like to see them as well.
Oh, I absolutely would. Is that the only photograph that you have?
It is, Your Honor.
Now, she pushed you down. When she pushed you down, did you end up on your face or on your back?
I was on my knees, so when I fell, I was able to I fell to my knees. And
she pushed you when you fell to your knees, and she
Correct,
was behind you.
She was in front of me, and she pushed me forward.
I thought you were leaving.
I was leaving.
I thought you were on your way out, and she pushed you.
Correct.
And you mean she ran around you and pushed you the other way?
No, I was headed towards her back.
And then you fell on your knees? That doesn't make sense to me, Miss Reyes.
I was inside the home, walking to her back door. And as I was walking by, she pushed me. She was in front of me and pushed me down. So I fell to my knees.
And she was in front of you, fall backwards, not to your knees.
Well, I was not all the way down. I wasn't flat. I would say, like, on my butt or on
How
my...
did her nose get broken? How did her nose get broken, Miss Reyes?
So when she had pushed me down, she had grabbed my hair. And in the process of when she grabbed my hair, I could not get her off of me. And so I started flailing my arms to have her let go. And I was defending myself. She's done this to me in the past, has hit me previously in front of her daughter.
What prompted you? I'm curious. Now, you've all had several glasses of wine. Your husband has had a beer or two. Her husband, he was having a beer or two.
Correct.
He went inside to lie down. What prompted you, other than being a little bit happy, to go inside and tell him that his wife's suggestion to healing your domestic situation was to have sex?
Your Honor.
You said, no, I don't want to. So she said, if you don't want to, I will. And then you went inside to tell her husband what she had said,
Correct,
leaving her outside with your husband. I'm just curious as to what prompted you to do that. What did you think he should do?
She is.
Okay, it's ridiculous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You were complaining about him using drugs. Otherwise, you mean just out of nowhere? She says, how about taking a drug test? I mean, I've had gatherings at my house. We don't do that with regularity.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kimberly Richter has accused former friend Carrie Reyes of attacking her and breaking her nose during an argument.
Now, what was the medical bill that you were charged by the emergency room?
So the total of the medical bills is $3,778.
Okay, Tabitha, would you stand up, please? Move closer to your mom. How old are you, Tabitha?
I am 14.
Were you there when the incident began?
When Carrie pushed my mom and then it all started, yes.
Tell me what you saw.
Right before I saw it, I heard arguing, and as soon as I came downstairs, I stood by the gate, and then I see Carrie and my mom. My mom's walking backwards, and Carrie's walking forwards. And then Carrie pushed my mom, and my mom almost fell, and then they started fighting. And my mom said to get out, and they were both flinging arms at each other, telling them to get out, because I believe they were pulling each other's hair. Carrie was hair being a mess after. And then Carrie pushed my mom. My mom slipped, and then as Carrie is on top of my mom, she grabs the glass case around the candle and hits my mom against the head. That's when I pull Carrie and tell her to get out.
So what you are describing to me is a fight between your mom and Carrie.
Yeah.
And then you saw Carrie pick up an object and hit your mother with it.
Yes.
Did you see where she hit your mother?
Right over the head. It all went by so fast, so I'm really trying to remember all of it by detail. But I do remember her grabbing it with her left hand and hitting my mom against the head. And then as soon as all the pieces fell on the floor, it shattered everywhere.
Tabitha, you've been helpful to me. When you say you couldn't hear what they were saying, do you remember how long they had been in the house before the fighting started?
Barely a few minutes, like less than 10 minutes.
And did you see where your father was?
Stepfather, and no.
But your stepfather you didn't see in the room?
Not till the very end after I pulled Carrie and told her to go away.
And then you saw him. Where was he?
I think he came out of the garage because it was that
Tabitha,
way.
you can sit down. You could.
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you step up, please? What's your last name?
Labiega.
Mr. Labiega, are you and the defendant married or just a couple?
We're married.
When were you married?
We married on April.
Of what year?
This year.
I'm not asking. I'm not talking to you. Do you understand, Miss Reyes?
Sorry, Your
I'm not
Honor.
talking to you. Say nothing.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Are you the victim of an assault? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, Mr. Labiega, do you remember November 25th of last year?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember agreeing to take a drug test?
Yes.
So when Miss Richter said to you, will you take a drug test?
I said no problem.
You said no problem.
Yes.
At the same time, did she ask your wife to take a drug test?
Yes.
And did your wife agree to take a drug test?
I don't think she said anything.
But Miss Richter asked her to take a drug test.
Yes, she did.
Okay, very good. Now you can sit down. Everybody got that figured out? That was an interesting story that you told me, Miss Reyes. Testimony. Okay.
Your Honor, not only did that situation happen regarding the drug conversation, we had been out in the garage, Your Honor, for at least 30, 45 minutes.
How come you didn't tell me? Yes, that happened.
Your Honor, the reason I did not mention the whole drug conversation that occurred in the garage was because I felt it was irrelevant. The whole purpose and the whole reason...
It wasn't irrelevant. It's her whole case, madam. Listen to me carefully. She says that you were there all afternoon.
Correct.
Before your husband got there, and you were complaining about him using drugs. Otherwise, you mean just out of nowhere? She says, how about taking a drug test? I mean, I've had gatherings at my house. We don't do that with regularity.
The main issue was infidelity.
That's all I have to hear. 3778, the rest for pain and suffering. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. We're finished. Thank you very much. Step out.
Parties are excused.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I want to see your marketing campaign.
So you want to see the logo?
That would be a start.
I did not bring a copy of the logo.
Ridiculous.
Next Judge Judy.
I think she was very fair in her ruling.
I was not charged or convicted or ever arrested for anything. She had a major alcoholic and put her hands on me first.
And this is the last straw. She broke my nose. I do not choose to be friends with her any longer.
It's time to move forward, and I never want to speak to this woman again or see her.
She needed more eyeballs on her website.
She wanted to know how much it would cost to retain my services.
You gave her a $5,000 deposit.
Then watched her money disappear.
I want to see your marketing campaign.
Do you want to see the logo that we created?
That would be a start.
You know what, Your Honor, I did not bring a copy of the logo.
Ridiculous.
This is Judge Judy. Amy Davis is suing Corey Dyer for the return of a deposit for marketing services for her beauty pageant coaching program.
Judge, this is case number 9 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Dyer. Parties have been sworn in. Sir, you may have a seat, please.
Miss Davis, you developed a website. It sounds to me as if it was sort of a mentoring website for young women who were preparing for beauty pageants, who needed some coaching. And as a former beauty pageant winner, and I guess if you had some qualifications to do that, the website was developed and you needed someone to help you market it, according to what I read, and you retained the defendant in order to do that. You gave her a $5,000 deposit. According to you, she did little or nothing to earn that. You want your money back. That's what the case is about. So how did you find the defendant?
The defendant found me on social media through Facebook.
Miss Dyer, tell me how you found the plaintiff.
I met Amy about 6 years ago. I was throwing a birthday party for a mutual friend, and that's how I originally met Amy. I had a client who had recently launched from his stem cell business into a medical spa. We were doing a marketing campaign where we were looking for models to actually demonstrate the services. And I reached out to her and I explained to her what we were doing. And if she was interested, that she would receive over $5,000 in Botox, fillers, and lip injections.
If she was interested in modeling for this other client of yours.
Yes.
Well, how did it come about that you offered your services as a marketer to her?
That is how the doctor wanted to do it, in exchange for them coming. We had a group of where we were marketing to the masses to come in and see these services done. And so they would, yes.
Is what you're telling me?
Yes.
A job?
Yeah, it was
I want to know how it came about. No. I want to know how it came about that she gave you $5,000.
Okay. So when we were finished, I was in the conference room and Amy came in and we started to talk. I wanted to find out how it went for her.
So you employed her? Your
Yes.
company employed her?
Yes.
Okay. And you were talking to her?
Yes.
In the conference room. That was in 2018?
Yes. It's September 27th.
Okay.
I have a picture right here of Amy that I took.
No, I don't need a picture.
Okay.
Just tell me the story.
So I was in the conference room. I asked her how it went. She said she really enjoyed it. We started to speak. She asked me what I did doing for the particular company. I explained to her what I did in marketing, and she said that she had been wanting to take her coaching program online and was needing some help. And I told her that I would love to help her. I would love to learn more. She started to show me on her phone other people that she knew.
You mean this was all in the conference room?
Yes.
Shh. This was all in the conference room. Okay, that was after the gig. So you spoke for a while in the conference room.
Yes.
And she showed you what she was doing online, what the program was that she was doing online.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, so
yeah, we
that was
spoke for a couple hours.
Nice. Okay, that's good. And what happened next?
Retain my services. I told her for what she's looking at to do something online, it would start her probably about $10,000 to start. And she says, I don't have that much. And I said, well, I mean, it sounds like a great opportunity. I'd like to learn more, but maybe we could do some rev share. Maybe what we could have you do is pay half of that and we rev share on the profits. And she said, that sounds very interesting. And so we talked a little bit more. And as I learned more about it, I got more excited because she was showing me these other accounts.
Are you talking to me about the conversation you had with her on September 27th?
Yes.
Or were we talking about a different day? That's all
the same day, Your Honor.
September 27th?
Yes.
The same day. Okay. When was the next date you saw her?
She wrote me a check out that day.
No. When was the next day you saw her?
That would have been October 1st.
Where did you see her?
She came over to our office. She brought Greg with her.
Who was Greg?
The gentleman that is with her.
Your partner, your husband?
That's me, Your Honor. I'm a friend
He's
of
a friend.
Amy's. I'm also an
down.
attorney, but I'm not Amy's attorney.
Okay, just sit. You're a friend. Okay, so she brought Greg with her, and?
She told me and Jarrell and Emily that this was her boyfriend, and she wanted him to hear and learn more.
I don't care.
Okay, that's not important.
Doesn't matter. 27th, you did on October 1st.
Yes.
She had already written a check to you for $5,000.
She had.
That she gave you on September 27th, for which you did no work. That was just a sort of beginning process.
We actually started.
Right? You hadn't done any work.
Yeah, we actually had started all the research because we were there to meet with her on the 1st to go and show her all the research we had done. And so we spent about $300.
I don't know. I want to know what you did for her between September 27th and October the 1st.
So what we did is we spent that time preparing to see her, and we had done about 360 hours of research in researching
ridiculous
what she needed.
Ridiculous.
So the research is necessary.
What I'm telling you is between September 27th, which goes into September 28th, because you already had done a job on the 27th, you are not going to convince me that you did 360 hours between the 28th of September and the 1st of October, 360 hours, because there aren't 360 hours in that period of time.
We did, well, man hours. So there was 3 of us that did it, and then man hours, that's what it took. So that when...
Who's 3?
Myself,
Who's 3?
Jarrell, and Emily.
Who are those 2 people?
Jarrell and Emily are my partners.
Are they your children?
They are.
Okay, so you met with her and your 2 kids.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 55.
And how old are your children?
31, and he is an artist and a designer, and my daughter...
Just one second. I'm not finished.
Okay.
He's 31.
Yes.
And he was at this meeting on October 1st.
Yes.
Was he at that meeting on October 1st?
Yes.
And your daughter, how old is she?
27, and she went to FIT and graduated in FITM in design.
And was she at the meeting on October 1st? Hello, Miss Davis?
Yes, she was at the meeting on October 1st.
So you were there, your 2 children, the plaintiff, and her friend.
Yes.
And what time was the meeting called?
What time was it called for?
What time was the meeting called for?
I'm going to say it was in the morning. Amy was running a little bit late.
In the a.m.?
Yes.
And I want you to show me what you presented to her on October 1st as a result of the 360 man hours that you spent on the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th. Show me what you presented to her. Okay, warranty of services.
Yeah.
What is that?
So this is basically what we would be doing to be able to...
So this is what you say you're going to do for her. I want you to show me the product of 360 man hours of work.
We didn't know what we were going to be able to do until we researched and looked at all the other online pageant, the people and what they were doing, what they were charging, what their volume was, how many awards they had won. We need to have something to compare by to be able to create that marketing for her, and so that was the time that we spent.
So the bottom line is you didn't show her anything, nor can you show me anything that you
Well, yeah, where the product started.
360 man hours.
Yes, so where that
hit.
So where that started.
You're a marketer.
You bet. So where that started was after our meeting with Greg and Amy. That's when we began and started to do the work. Amy had come in. She brought... Yes.
So now what you're saying is you didn't do any work between the 27th and the 1st except to prepare this one-page thing of what you proposed to do for her.
That would be correct.
Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, good. So now that's clear, because I was confused about the 360 hours from 2 days. That math doesn't work for me. They left, and you had her $5,000. That was on October 1st.
Is when they came.
When was the next time you saw Miss Davis?
So the next time I saw her from the time that we were in the...
October 1st.
It was October 1st.
Very easy.
And this is important, Judge, because this is...
Pay careful attention to me.
Yes.
My question is a direct one. We are now in August of 2020.
Yes.
I want to know, after October 1st, 2018, when was the next time you saw Miss Davis?
So the communication was there through
text messaging. That's a date. That's not a so. That's not a so. No, that's not a so. That's a date.
Okay.
That's not a so.
October 2nd.
That's not a story.
October 2nd, 2018.
Where did you see her?
So she was texting us.
Where did you see her?
Well, she ghosted us after the 5th. I never saw her again after the 5th. Literally for a year, she ghosted us.
Oh, just a second. Listen to me. I asked you a simple question.
Yes.
From October 1st, 2018, until the next date that you saw her.
Well, it was by phone.
And you said October 2nd.
By phone.
No, not by phone. In person. She gave you $5,000.
Never saw her.
I want to know when the next time...
Never saw her in person after October 1st. She ghosted us for a year after the 5th.
I have no idea what you...
So ghosted is when they just don't show up. They don't show up to the meetings. They tell you they're late. They tell you that they have prepared their script like she did, and she never prepared it. They lied and said she had all this information ready for us, and we were all ready to start shooting her and filming her, and she didn't show up.
So what I want you to do is show me what you did for her between October 1st, 2018 and today. What you did for her, what your marketing company did for her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today.
How much did Mr. pay you for the contents of the salon, other than for giving you your rent?
It was the next 2 years' worth of lease.
I think I have a feeling that Bill got snookered. He got snookered by COVID, and he got snookered by you.
Amy Davis says she paid Corey Dyer $5,000 to market her beauty pageant coaching program. Amy claims Corey barely did anything.
What I want you to do is show me what you did for her between October 1st, 2018 and today. What you did for her, what your marketing company did for her.
Okay, so here's the first one. We were prepped and ready to have her come in and to start filming her. She said that she got...
I'm not interested in text messages. I want to see your marketing campaign.
So you want to see the logo that we created? You want to see the logo that we created for her? Is that specific?
That would be a start. That would be a start. Take off the texts and show me a logo that you prepared for her.
You know what, Your Honor? I did not bring a copy of the logo. I brought a copy of our conversations.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000 for her refund. We're done here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Oh, my gosh.
You can't doubt Judge Judy. I mean, as a judge, I agree that she knows what she's doing. She's been doing this for a long time.
This has been a long time coming. I'm so grateful. I feel like...
I didn't come prepared. That was on my end. I didn't come prepared with the logos and the things that we did with Amy.
Justice was finally served. Judge Judy was able to catch...
And so that's my bad. I truly wish Amy the very best, though.
Corey Dyer and many lies.
No, she was never pleased with anything. That was the problem.
But it just definitely wasn't the match for me.
All parties in the matter of Mushka versus Hallman approach the podium.
Michelle Mushka is suing Dennis and Brenda Hallman and the return of stolen property.
Well, let me start with you, Miss Hallman. How long did you and your husband own this beauty salon?
5, almost 6 years.
And do you rent the space from someone?
I do. I rent the building.
From whom?
Bill is the owner of the building.
How much rent do you pay, or did you pay?
The first year, it started out at $1,500.
And what was it in 2019?
$1,750.
Were you current in your rent at the time that you sold the salon to the plaintiff?
I sold my assets to the plaintiff, and I was 4 months behind on rent.
So far, you had a broken lease, and according to what I read in the complaint, you had not maintained your filing status with the state, correct?
I had a business.
That's either a yes or a no?
Yes.
So the asset that you were selling was what?
Was all the assets that were inside the salon.
What is that?
The mirrors, the chairs, the stations, the furniture, the decorations.
The renters, the people that rented.
I didn't ask you anything.
I was helping her out.
I didn't ask you anything.
Thank you.
Don't help her unless I ask you a question. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
And the landlord, and I was selling the agreement from the landlord to the purchaser.
Did Bill tell you he...
Not at all.
Well, what's the reason for your not paying rent for 4 months?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why didn't you give her her money back?
She didn't ask for it back. She also stated that, I doubt you have it. She said, so I want everything that you have to do with this business. She wouldn't take her money back.
What are you, crazy?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Mushka says Dennis and Brenda Hallman conned her regarding the sale of a beauty salon.
What's the reason for your not paying rent for 4 months?
I had a business partner, and she decided to fall in love with a military man, and she left the state. And so I was left to take over and pay everything on my own when she used to pay for half of everything. So I talked to the landlord.
Well, did you pay half your rent?
Yes, I did pay partial payments to Bill, and we made agreements that...
How much is partial payment? Let's go. I just want to know.
You know, there was $800, there was $400, there was $200. It just depended on the week and how much I was making at the moment. My landlord was extremely
This is what
helpful.
the case is about. You agreed to sell the assets of a place that you were behind in rent on that was not a legitimate salon because the license hadn't been maintained for a couple of years. You were $1,000. She gave you a $5,000 deposit. We all agree that she gave you a $5,000 deposit. That's what she wants back. Now, are you back in the salon?
No, I'm not.
Well, are you not back in the salon because of COVID? you don't seem to indicate to me that you were not back to work in January.
I was back to work in January in the salon. And
January?
Then, yes.
Right. And you were back to work in February in the salon. You were back to work until they closed the salons because of COVID.
Correct.
So you took possession of what you sold her until the state of Washington State, until they closed down all the salons.
I sold my assets to the building owner, which was Bill.
Just a second. So Bill bought your salon?
He bought everything that was inside the salon.
How much did Mr. pay you for the contents of the salon, other than for giving you your rent?
It was the next 2 years' worth of lease. He let me out of that as well.
What do you mean as well? As well as what?
He let me out of the contract.
And?
And he forgave any
And
payments.
he took, just a second, and he took possession of all the furniture. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, most of it. Mirrors, stations, roller carts.
So he took that because he knew he wasn't going to get any money.
He could then, in turn, rent it out.
Well, that was a bad deal. I think I have a feeling that Bill got snookered. He got snookered by COVID, and he got snookered by you.
Not by me.
Why didn't you give her money back?
Because she told me
she gave you $5,000.
She wanted the salon. She didn't ask for it back. She also stated that I doubt you have it.
Just don't say anything.
She said, so I want everything that you have to do with this business. Sure. She wouldn't take her money back.
Just a second. You sold it to somebody that... What are you, crazy?
I'm not crazy.
I mean, are you crazy?
I have the statement. I have her text message.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
You mean so you sold what she bought to somebody else and kept her money?
This was his idea. He came to me. I have a text message also that this was his, that he stated to me. This was his idea.
You hadn't paid rent to him then, by that time, for 5 months, and certainly weren't going to pay him for March, April, May, June, July, because all salons were closed in Washington State.
Right.
So he said, well, give me what you got. I mean, I can't get blood from a turnip, so I'm going to go. I won't sue you for the back rent for 2 years, and goodbye and good luck. Is he a friend of yours?
The back rent was for 4 months. And
is he a friend of yours, is my question.
Not. I would say acquaintance, but not a friend. We don't have barbecues
He's
together.
An acquaintance. You have to give her back a deposit. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. We're done. You see, you didn't have to say a word. Goodbye.
Pardons are excused.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
The horse's legs were bitten.
Yes.
The pit bull was the precipitating factor.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt?
No, you can't.
Next Judge Judy.
I'm thankful for her decision on this case. It's been a long time that we've had to deal with this, and I'm just thankful for it. Thank you, Judge Judy.
You saw a pit bull and a German shepherd.
Yes.
On the loose and on the prowl.
I see my pony bleeding.
This horse was bought for my daughter.
The horse's legs were bitten.
Yes.
A defiant neighbor sticks by her animals.
The pit bull was the precipitating factor.
According to...
No, you can't.
This is Judge Judy. Estela Hernandez is suing her former neighbor, Myra Solis, for vet bills and punitive damages after Myra's dogs attacked her pony.
Judge, this is case number 11 on the calendar in the matter of Hernandez versus Solis. Parties have been sworn in. Siéntese, por favor.
Thank you. Ms. Hernandez, you have a horse, and you and the defendant are neighbors.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
It is your claim that some time ago, it was actually back in December of 2018, for the second time, dogs that belonged to the defendant injured your horse.
Yes. The first injury was in October, actually, of 2018.
And when that injury happened, according to you, the horse's legs were bitten.
Yes, we have one horse.
Is that right?
Yes.
We're not involved with that instance in this court case. What you're really talking about is the incident that happened in December. But I want to know whether or not you, as a neighbor, knew what the defendant's dogs looked like.
I didn't know.
You did not?
No.
So these were not dogs that you saw frequently?
That I saw, no. That my husband saw and my neighbor saw, yes.
Well, I don't know about your neighbor, but your husband is there.
Yes.
So now I'm going to ask your husband. Step up, please. Mr. Hernandez, can you tell me what you observed in December of 2018?
I heard some noise 4 o'clock in the morning. When I go outside, I see my pony in the driveway, and I see my pony bleeding a lot. And I go to check, and I see like 40 feet in the front, the same dogs, the pit bull and German Shepherd, waiting for him.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt?
No,
Your Honor,
you can't.
the
When I come
statement-
to you, listen to me. When I come to you and ask you a question, you can answer me. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor, but in his
Good,
statement, he's
perfect.
claiming a husky.
No, he didn't say a husky.
He said a
I want you to just pay careful attention to me.
Yes, Your Honor.
When I come to you, you can talk.
Okay, Your Honor.
Right now, I'm not addressing you. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Now, you saw a pit bull and a German Shepherd.
Yes.
Had you ever seen these dogs before?
Yeah, in October, like 15, 16, is the first attack to my pony.
After the October incident to the defendant.
Your Honor,
next day.
Speak to her.
Next day.
The next day. You spoke to Miss Solis,
No.
or your wife did the next day. Who? What part of don't speak don't you understand?
Sorry, Your Honor.
Who spoke to Miss Solis, you or your wife, the next day?
Back
in October.
My friend called me. The dogs go to your property again. When I go outside, I see the dogs for first time.
Was that a pit bull and a German Shepherd?
Yeah,
Those were the two dogs. That was back in October.
yeah, and October 15. And I see it October 16 is the first time when I see it in my property.
Okay. And what kind of dogs did you see?
Pit bull, like gray, and a German Shepherd.
Okay. And are those the same two dogs that you saw in December after your horse was again injured?
Yeah, the same dogs.
And your pony was both times, both in October and December, on your property?
Yes, inside my property.
Okay. Sit down, Mr. Hernandez. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Hernandez, how long has the defendant been a neighbor of yours?
actually, I don't know. I don't know her, but we moved into this property July of 2013.
And how long has the pony been with you?
We bought like November, December.
2013.
2013, yes, because this horse was bought for my daughter. So that's when she was born.
Up until the October incident, have you had any trouble with any other animals and your pony?
No.
There have been no other incidents. Okay.
No.
Now look at me. Now I'm going to talk to you. Do you understand, Miss Solis?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you live in a house?
Yes.
Who do you live in the house with?
I live with my mom, my dad, my son, my daughter, and my little sister.
And how long have your mom and dad lived in that house?
Since 2010.
When did you move in with them?
So basically we moved in. I mean, I've been with them. I just recently separated from them this year.
So you've lived with them?
Yes.
And when did you get the German Shepherd?
We got the German Shepherd when my little sister was about...
Dave, look at me. Look at me.
I'm looking.
Very good. Just look
Okay.
at me.
Okay, I'm looking.
In what year did you get the German Shepherd? Look at me.
Sorry, I'm trying to think. I was about 8 years old. I'm 24 now.
What year did you get the Pit Bull?
We recently got it 2018. It had only been a couple months when the incidents happened. So August.
Okay, so you got the Pit Bull.
August 2018.
In 2018?
Yes.
So,
correct, according to her. Pitbull was kind, Pitbull was loving.
No. According to me.
According to you,
me.
Your Honor.
You've,
Can I ask you that?
according to me. Well, ordinarily
Why
I
a
wouldn't
pit
let you,
bull?
but I'm trying to educate you.
Educate
I'm
me
trying to educate
on
you.
a pit bull?
Yes, I'm trying to educate you, so I want you to be quiet.
Okay, Your Honor.
If you want to be educated, then you'll be quiet. The reason I'm saying the pit bull was the target date because the plaintiffs have lived in their home since 2013. You have lived in your home with your family since 2010. They have had no problem with anything attacking their pony 2013, 14, 15, 16, and 17 until well into 2018. You had your German Shepherd since, according to you, you were 8 years old.
Yes.
Do you understand so far? Do you understand where I'm teaching you logic?
Yes.
In 30 seconds, I'm teaching you a 6-month course in logic.
Okay, Your Honor.
The only time that they had trouble with their pony being injured, twice, once in October on their property, and once in December in an incident involving a pit bull, which is when you got your pit bull with your German Shepherd in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, or 18. The only date consistent with this injury is with the pit bull in 2018. Did I just teach you logic?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Can I see the vet bill, please?
I also have a report from the vet. She wrote out a statement.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
We both put it.
I would like to see it. Just a second. Who wrote this?
This is Dr. Sally. This is the doctor that actually came out and did the surgery.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So I'd like to add, Your Honor, that she actually treated the horse, but at the time that she was treating the horse, we also showed her what other injuries the dog had had that consist with an attack, and she agreed, and that's why she wrote out the statement.
No. God. Would you show me the bills from the vet?
So, I believe this is the first one. Let me know when I can go ahead and put the second one.
Yes, and show me the second one, please.
Second one.
Your Honor, can I ask to see the second vet bill?
Can I go ahead and finish putting these up, Your Honor? There's more than two.
Yeah, it doesn't make any. I just want to see proof. After the October incident, did you speak to Miss Solis?
After the October incident, I sent her a text message letting her know that if we can have a discussion regarding these vet bills, and I never got an answer from her.
Do your parents own or lease the house? Do your parents own or lease the house?
Lease.
Do they have insurance on the leased house?
Yes.
Do they have homeowners insurance?
They do. They have homeowners insurance.
Did they notify the homeowners insurance that you had had a pit bull in your house?
We actually were just fostering, and my parents, they have nothing to do with that. We were fostering the pit bull.
What do you mean they have nothing to do with that?
We were fostering the pit bull. We were just doing our research as to what we needed to be able to, go ahead and keep our pit bull here at the house. We didn't even get a chance to do anything of that. We had no chance.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So what did you do with the pit bull?
I had to give her up.
You didn't give her up in October or November or December.
And, Your Honor, I was informed by Animal Control.
Listen to me. I'm not speaking to you.
And later today,
you got $1,450 from her as a deposit. Did you rent the studio?
Not to her.
Have you rented the studio?
It is rented right now.
Let's not play with me.
Estela Hernandez says dogs owned by her former neighbor, Myra Solis, attacked and injured her pony.
Okay. Can you tell me why you never responded to the plaintiff's initial text in October?
I did respond, and we did speak on the phone. We had a conversation on the phone, and I said, hey, you know what? They had mentioned a video of evidence that my two dogs were attacking her pony. Even the animal control, they said that they had a video, and I said, please go ahead and show me the video. I would love to see the video. And, I would have went ahead, if I saw that those were my dogs, I would have had no problem paying her the original $270 that she said that I owed. But they never showed me the video. They failed to show me the video. And so then I said, okay, well then.
She wanted me to wait, Your Honor.
So what did you do with, So what did you do with the pit bull?
I had to give her away.
After October?
I had to give her away. I had to give her up. They were asking me.
Just a sec. On what date? You didn't give her up in October or November or December.
And, Your Honor, I was informed by Animal Control.
Listen to me. I'm not speaking to you.
Okay.
You didn't get rid of the pit bull.
I did, Your Honor.
In October, November. of the pit bull?
They came. They gave us a warning, the first attack in August.
What date?
Your Honor, I have to look
What
that
date?
up. I am not sure.
Just tell me what date they came and took the pit bull.
It was after the second incident, after December, so it was not in December.
Okay, very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. You want to keep a dangerous dog? That's your problem.
Your Honor,
Causes
this pony's going to need treatment.
We're
It's going to need therapy.
We're finished. We're done. Thank you very much. We're done.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
She gets to go and go look at their pony in their backyard, but I lost 2 dogs.
I think it was fair. I think if you're going to be a pet owner, you should be a responsible pet owner.
It's a traumatic event.
Just tragedy all the way around.
All parties in the matter of LaBraine Jackson versus Oswald. Approach the podium, please.
Brenda LaBraine Jackson is suing her former landlord-to-be, Jerome Oswald, for the return of a deposit on an apartment she never moved into.
Miss LaBraine Jackson, you want your deposit back on an apartment that you rented from the defendant.
Yes.
It is your claim that the apartment wasn't ready in time. I have a few questions. First question is, prior to March of this year, where were you living?
I was living with my parents.
And you had been living at home. So
5
this
years.
was a move-out experience because you were working in January for whom?
In January, I was working at a medical spa, and I work at Burke Williams. I'm a massage therapist.
So you had 2 jobs?
Yes.
And you had those 2 jobs when you first saw the apartment in March?
Absolutely, yes.
Correct?
I did. Yes, correct.
And at that time, you gave the defendant $1,450 to hold the apartment for you.
Yes.
So he stopped showing it to anyone else.
Yes, correct.
In March, both of those jobs went away because of COVID. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
So by the time you were supposed to move in April, you had no source of income.
Absolutely right.
Okay. So let's not blame the defendant for why you changed your mind about moving into the apartment. You changed your mind about moving into the apartment because you couldn't pay rent, because you weren't working because of the pandemic.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You had a contract with him. Just because you didn't have a written contract doesn't mean you didn't have a contract. He offered his apartment. You accepted his apartment. In consideration of that, he took it off the market. That, madam, is a contract.
Real Brenda LaBraine Jackson says Jerome Oswald won't return a deposit for an apartment she never moved into. Jerome is countersuing for the cost of the renovations she requested.
Now, I'd like you to tell me about what the apartment looked like when you first saw it in March.
When I first saw the apartment in March, the apartment was not move-in ready.
What was wrong with it?
There was no cooktop. There was no shower. The shower, he had just started to fix it and actually build a shower.
You mean redo the shower?
Yeah,
How large an apartment was it?
It's a studio back house.
Is it a 1-bedroom or studio?
Yeah, studio.
Had you rented this studio before, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And you asked the defendant to make certain changes as long as he was doing renovations in the apartment. What changes did you want?
He had a TV in his studio back house, and my son and I, we really don't watch TV, and we didn't want to be held accountable for anything that could have, may have happened with the TV. So I kind of asked him to just remove it just so that we can put in our own things.
Did you ask him to build any additional closet space or anything else?
No, I did not.
Nothing else? Just remove the TV, according to you. Asked you to do
she asked me to remove all the upper cabinets in the kitchenette and also remove the TV, which was actually mounted to the wall. So, I had to repair the walls.
Okay.
And also install a medicine cabinet in the bathroom and install a organizer in the closet.
Okay. Any of that sound familiar?
Most of it does. The only thing that's not true is the fact that I was the one that provided the closet organizer, and I told him that I wouldn't mind installing it if it was okay with him, to be able to do that in his unit.
So this is the problem that you have. The problem that you have is that you decided not to move into this studio with your son because you lost your job.
Yes.
That was the reason.
Absolutely.
And that's not Mr. Oswald's problem. It's unfortunate, but if he was holding that apartment for you, That was your arrangement.
Yes.
He stopped showing the apartment because you were going to be the tenant. So you don't get your deposit back if you just decided not to move in because you lost your job. I feel terrible that you lost your job and that you had to stay home with your parents, with your son. But you gave him the $1,450 to hold the apartment so that he would take it off the market and not show it. Okay, that's the reason.
The only thing with that, though, is he never gave me possession of the place. I never received keys for the place.
You don't have to receive keys for the place, madam. The reason that you decided not to move into the apartment is because you lost your job, period.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Mr. Oswald,
yes.
Let's be serious about this. Money owed for special renovations, $1,500. You got $1,450 from her as a deposit. Did you rent the studio?
Not to her.
Have you rented the studio?
It is rented right now.
Let's not play with me.
Pardon
It's
me?
rented. And when did you rent it?
The beginning of July.
Good. So you were out a few months. But there's a pandemic in this world.
Exactly.
And everything is sort of upside down. So you were without rent for a little bit. And you're back home with your parents, is that right?
I actually moved to Louisiana
Why?
because it's more economically viable for me at the moment.
You mean cheaper than staying with your parents?
Yes, actually it is.
Did you move in with somebody
No.
in Louisiana?
No, it's just me and my son.
And your parents live where, in California? Go into that decision-making process of yours. I assume you're not living for free in Louisiana.
I have relatives in Louisiana as well.
Are you living with relatives in Louisiana?
At the moment, I am, but I do have an apartment that I'm going to be renting in September.
Okay. Both the claim and the counterclaim are dismissed. Thank you very much. We're finished here.
I do want to say, though, he never signed the contract. Does that not matter?
We're done. No, you had, just so that I answer you, and I don't have to answer you, you had a contract with him. Just because you didn't have a written contract doesn't mean you didn't have a contract. There was an offer, an acceptance, and consideration. He offered his apartment. You accepted his apartment. You gave him $1,450 to hold that apartment. In consideration of that, he took it off the market. That, madam, is a contract.
But
I've just given you contracts 101 in law school. We're finished. Goodbye.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
How were you contributing to the household?
Mostly I cleaned.
Other than being tidy, he paid no rent. He's a 27-year-old man who was living with his mother.
Judge Judy.
I'm pleased to hear that, she wasn't willing to work at all with me.
I thought there were certain things, certain laws in place, contracts and stuff like that.
Probably be a little tougher, I guess.
No more money up front.
It was a risk taking him in.
As the mother of 2 children, you invited a perfect stranger to move into your house after knowing him for 2 weeks.
And the reward wasn't worth it.
I told him, you need to pay.
How were you contributing to the household?
Mostly I cleaned.
Other than being tidy, he paid no rent. Big surprise. He's a 27-year-old man who was living with his mother.
This is Judge Judy. Baylin Hummage is suing her ex-boyfriend, Mason McNatt, for breaching a lease and for an unpaid loan.
Judge, this is case number 2 on the calendar in the matter of Hummage versus McNatt. The parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Let me understand this. The 2 of you met on the internet. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you met online in March of 2019.
Correct.
On what site?
Tinder, Your Honor.
And how long did you have a relationship online?
Maybe a week at the most before we met in person. I traveled from his hometown in Ridgecrest, California, to my home in Rosamond, California. It's about an hour drive, and we went to dinner at Outback Steakhouse. I believe that was where we went.
It was Clam Jumpers.
Sorry.
Okay, that was your first date?
Yes.
With his friend?
With his friend and my 2 children. So it was kind of more of a friendship gathering versus an actual romantic date.
Okay. And when did you have your first actual romantic date?
As a mother, a single mother of 2 children, 2 babies that were only 6 months and 1.5 years old at the time, I can't say we ever had a romantic date out.
Well, you met him in March. Now I know you have 2 little babies.
Yes.
And where is their father?
Their father lives in Palmdale, California. I hold full legal and full physical custody.
In what month did Mr. McNatt move in with you?
Mr. McNatt asked me to be his girlfriend exclusively on April 14th, 2019. That same day, he went to a Dodgers baseball.
Within a couple of weeks of meeting him, he wanted to be your exclusive boyfriend and asked to move in with you.
Yes, he never went home after that day.
So after a couple of weeks?
Correct.
Where did you live prior to that, sir?
With my parents in Ridgecrest.
How old are you?
I just turned 27.
So hankering to get out of the house.
A little, yeah.
Okay. So now, using excellent judgment, as the mother of 2 children, you invited a perfect stranger to move into your house after knowing him for 2 weeks. Is that the story that I'm getting? Yes, that's the story that I'm getting. So he moved in. And how long had you been living in the house or apartment that you were living with your 2 children?
I moved in there November 2018.
So you had been living there for a while?
Correct.
And what was the rent in that apartment?
$950.
Do you work?
I do.
So you were paying the rent?
Correct.
And when he moved in, according to your complaint, there was a time that you got behind in rent. In what months did you get behind in rent?
March is when I started getting behind.
The same March that you met him?
Yes.
Yes. And why were you getting behind in rent?
I had just lost an amount of income, so I started panicking, and I did borrow a little bit of money from my mother. In April, about 6 days after Mason and I started dating officially, I was served custody, picked me to court to take 50-50 custody. And because that was a domestic violence relationship for 4 years, it was terrifying. So I took about a month off of work.
Just a second. So when he moved in, your ex-husband or your ex sued you. You were served with papers, custody papers.
Yes.
And what did you do?
I became very, very overwhelmed and afraid because he was domestically abusive to both the children and I. So I took a month off of work.
Okay.
To allow myself to get the legal help that I needed. I was driving to Bakersfield because that's where my court case was, spending hours and hours at the family law facilitator.
So just a second. So you took a month off from work and you had reduced income and you got in April and you got behind, and so what did you do? I mean, right now, you want him to pay what your lawsuit is.
Oh, you're asking about what did I do to get money?
Primarily to get money.
Got it.
I'm trying to figure out, you and Mr. McNatt were a couple from mid-April, 2 weeks after you met, of 2019. Mr. McNatt, when did you move out? What month and year?
I moved out in October of 2019.
So you were together for about 6. Now, did you move from the house that you were living with when you first moved in with her to another place?
Yes, we did.
In what month?
We left the Rosemont apartment in the end of August and got on a lease in September.
Where did you live when you left the Rosemont apartment in August?
We moved to Lancaster. We went on a lease together in Lancaster.
You signed a lease. And
yes.
How much was the rent in the lease in Lancaster?
$1,350. Because we were behind on rent. And I also, as a school librarian, I don't work over summers, so I didn't anticipate any way of how I could catch up. We took a personal loan from my sister, Amber Berry, for the outstanding rent balance of $5,000. Amber Berry...
You mean for the old apartment?
Yes.
You mean for the old apartment?
Yes. So our intention was to catch up on rent and stay there. Mason and I agreed we would pay my sister back half of the loan when our taxes came in for the 2019 year. So I attempted to use the money from the loan to pay the outstanding balance for my apartment. And I had the check was returned, and it was a cashier's check with a Post-it on it that said, "We cannot accept your payment. please contact our legal department. And I said, I have every penny that I owe you. I even have whatever outstanding attorney fees you may have acquired, because I know that is my responsibility to pay.
They were trying to evict you for non-payment of rent.
Correct.
Well, you've left that big part out.
Yeah, no, I was trying to get to that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, but that's where we're at. You had not paid your rent for how many months? 4?
It was 4 months with late fees and...
Okay, so they said we can't take that because we've already gone through an eviction process.
Correct.
And goodbye.
Yes,
and goodbye.
so they said
okay.
we were not going to accept your payment. So Mason and I decided that we would start looking for a place to move together.
Great. Now, when you found the place, Mr. McNatt, you signed a lease.
Yes.
Were you working at the time?
Yes, I was.
What kind of work do you do?
I mostly work with adults with autism.
Do you get paid by the state?
No, they're private companies.
So you work for a private company?
Yes.
I want to know who you get your check from and how often do you get a check?
I was paid bi-weekly, and I was making minimum wage. Also commuting from Rosemont to Ridgecrest every day.
How are you contributing to the household?
Mostly I cleaned. I practically cleaned up every single day I was there. I cooked whenever...
Without money, cash.
Yeah. I helped with bills on occasion when I could, but I was commuting to and from Ridgecrest every single day, and I was eating up a lot in gas.
So while you were living with her in the old place, you didn't contribute at all to rent?
No.
Well, if he didn't contribute at all to rent in the months that he lived in your old apartment, what made you think that he was going to contribute to rent when you moved into a new, more expensive apartment?
Promises. In the initial apartment, he did not...
Promises.
In the initial apartment, we didn't have any type of agreement, but when we moved into the new home, it was...
You don't need an agreement. He's a 27-year-old man who was living with his mother, and he had a job, and he moved into your apartment, and other than being tidy, he paid no rent. So I want you to tell me so that I'm going to believe it, because then you borrowed money from your sister, because he had never paid rent. So you borrowed money from your sister to catch up on the rent because you wanted to stay in your apartment. Then you used that money from your sister because they evicted you to get another apartment. So now I want you to tell me what I'm going to believe that Mason over here said to you that led you to believe that he was going to contribute to this rent.
He was in the process of becoming a correctional officer, of which I do not know what the end result was. He also had applied and taken the... He had made multiple attempts.
But he didn't have a job.
Right.
But
so the relationship ended a month into our lease because of... I told him, you know, you need to pay. And he begged and said, I have nowhere to go. Please don't do this. I said, I'm not kicking you out.
I have to go home.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're a mother of 2 small children, and the relationship that you started on Tinder and had somebody move in 2 weeks later didn't work out. Big surprise.
Balin Hummage says she moved in with ex-boyfriend Mason McNatt after dating for only a month. Balin claims Mason breached the lease and defaulted on a loan.
Okay, go ahead.
We signed a legal agreement. He had every right to stay there. But I said to him, I need you to pay rent as you had agreed. So I never kicked him out. I never told him, you need to leave. You need to find somewhere else to live. I said, you can stay here as our lease agrees.
What were the problems? Yeah. You're a mother of 2 small children. And the relationship that you started on Tinder and had somebody move in 2 weeks later didn't work out. Big surprise. Are you still in that current in your rent?
I am current.
Do you intend to stay there?
I do not know if the landlord will allow me to, but I would appreciate it if I could. We asked the landlord in March if he would remove Mason off of the lease because Mason has made the decision to leave and he didn't want to be there. And the landlord said no. I will not remove him off the lease. He has a responsibility to be there.
As long as you pay, it's not his responsibility to be there, madam. It's his responsibility to the landlord to pay the rent. So this is what happens. If you fall behind in your rent, the landlord has 2 people to go against, you and him. His contract is with the landlord, not with you. And as a mother of 2 small children, I certainly wouldn't want someone to live with me with whom I no longer feel comfortable. You want to tell me what happened when he moved out? What precipitated his moving out? Did you have an argument?
Just your casual, just couples fighting, not working out, not being compatible.
Okay, that's fair. Did you feel it too,
I
Mr.
did.
McNatt? That it wasn't working out?
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't working out. Well, you know you're on the hook for rent. If she stops paying the rent, you
Yes,
understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Did you move home to your mother?
No, I moved in with my sister briefly, and I just got my own apartment.
Good. That's good. How much rent are you paying?
$700.
And you to the rent?
Yeah, she does.
How much does she contribute?
We split it down half and half.
Did you think that's fair?
Yes.
Would you think it was fair if she said, I'm going to keep my half of the apartment clean? That's going to be my contribution. I'm going to be tidy.
I wouldn't have minded it.
Mm-hmm. How many months did you live in the new house?
I was only there for less than a month.
He still has all of his, not all of it, a large portion of belongings in my home that he has made.
I know, he's got a counterclaim.
Okay, but I also,
I know,
have
he has a
text
counterclaim.
messages saying he wants to come and get them.
What things do you have there?
I have a lot of tools that I left there, as well as a bin full of old pictures and writings from my deceased best friend, as well as my mentally ill cousin. I wasn't able to get everything.
Okay. Within 5 days from today's date, you make arrangements to go and get all your stuff. If you don't get anything within 5 days, she's going to get rid of everything that she has that belongs to you that she doesn't want. Do you understand?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have scoured my entire house with the help of my boyfriend, Jared, and I never found any letters or anything of like that. I have an old toolbox. I have a heater.
Okay.
I have a fan.
Listen, whatever you have, put it in a large box, if porch, I assume.
Yes.
She's going to put it out between a 2-hour period on the date you give her. If you don't pick it up, you don't pick it up. Whatever is there is what she has. Do you understand?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your boyfriend, when did he move in?
He does not live with me.
Ever?
He visits because of the COVID situation, and I was out of work for a while, but he does not live with me.
And later today.
The one thing that you're complaining about is that they didn't clean the carpet. I assure you, madam, that somebody who paid $500,000 for your house is going to put in new carpet and not use your 20-year-old carpet.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Balin Hummage says ex-boyfriend Mason McNatt breached their lease and owes for a loan. Mason is countersuing for the return of his belongings and harassment.
Now, your boyfriend, when did he move in?
He does not live with me.
Ever?
No. He visits because of the COVID situation. So he was out of school for a while, and I was out of work for a while, but he does not live with me.
Okie dokie. Mr. McNatt is going to give you $1,350. That is for half the security deposit. You borrowed money from your sister. That's your problem with your sister. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,350. Your property 5 days from today. We're done.
What about the harassment charge that I have against her as well?
Out!
Parties are excused.
If I have to pay half the rent from when I lived there, that's fine.
It wasn't ideal, but I am happy to feel heard and understood.
I didn't feel like she loved me at all, so I wanted to leave.
A lot of guilt, a lot of poor choices on my hand.
All parties in the matter of Cole versus Dixon, step to the podiums, please.
Carl Cole is suing his former landlord, Deborah Dixon, for the return of his deposit and the return of rent.
Mr. Cole, you were a tenant of Miss Dixon's, and you were a tenant of hers for 13 years.
Yes, I was.
Was that in a house or an apartment?
A house, Your Honor.
And what you're asking for in this case is for the return of your security deposit. Your lease was over in April. You were paying tenant for 13 years. Your security deposit was retained by the defendant because she says that you did some damage to the property. Okay. So I have a few questions for you before I go back to Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole started to lease this house 13 years ago. When did you purchase the house? In what?
3.
Did you ever live in the house?
Yes, I did.
Until when?
March of 2006.
And is that when you leased the house for the first time?
Yes, I leased the house in 2007.
And prior to Mr. Cole moving in, what renovations had you made to the house?
We did a lot of renovations. We did a patio in the back. We did carpeting.
Was that when you lived there?
Yes. We also painted the house in 2006 before we left, inside.
Okay, so you painted it.
And renewed.
Anything else other than painting it?
Yes, I'm sorry. We also redid the both bathrooms.
Anything else?
No.
So you painted the house and you did 2 bathrooms?
Yes.
And then rented it?
Yes.
And what was Mr. Cole's rent?
At the time was $16.95.
What was his rent in this last lease?
$2,100.
And did he pay his rent each month?
Yes, he did.
What was his security deposit?
$1,650.
And now you can tell me why you didn't give him back his $1,650.
Because he left the carpet really dirty. They had ample time to go in and have somebody clean it, clean the windows, repaint inside, or at least clean the walls inside. They didn't clean the kitchen, and not only that...
What did you do with the house?
I sold it.
You sold it. What did you purchase it for?
$120.
And what did you sell it for?
I sold it for $505.
And you had rent from the plaintiff over a 13-year period?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, in what month did you sell the house?
I sold the house in March.
March of 2020?
Correct.
What date in March of 2020?
It closed on the 24th.
The plaintiff was still living there when you opened escrow, correct?
Yes.
So the purchasers, I assume, saw the house before they opened escrow.
Correct.
He gets his security back. You sold the house, you made 5 times the money that what you paid for it, and clearly the purchasers of the house didn't have any problem with the dirty windows, and they were going to replace at least 13-year-old carpeting anyway. According to you, the only thing that you did 13 years ago is you painted, and you did 2 bathrooms. That suggests to me that the one thing that you're complaining about is that they didn't clean the carpet. For your house is going to put in new carpet and not use your 20-year-old carpet.
Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,650. We're done. Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I have 4 children. 3 of my children live with me.
This is the boyfriend. You didn't pay rent for 4 months.
I do my part.
What do you do for your part other than make children?
Next Judge Judy.
They didn't give me any written notice of the breaking the lease.
I think it was fair and just.
I was missing about 17 plants that they took